What's up guys and welcome back to the channel. If this is the first time we're meeting, my name is Oliver and on this channel we talk about education and early career development, specifically here in Finland. And during these weekly live Q&A sessions, I answer your most burning questions about living, studying and working in Finland. And how these live streams work is that in the description box below I have a link to a Google form. And if you want me to answer any of your questions live, please post your questions into the Google form. The reason why I do it this way is because sometimes it gets, sometimes the live chat here on YouTube gets really busy and it's very difficult for me to answer all questions and follow the chat while I'm actually trying to answer everyone else's questions. So this is why I collect all my questions to my computer, which is right here below the, under the screen. And that allows me to answer everyone's questions in the order that they come in. Before we jump into the first question, just super quickly want to say hi to everyone. No, sorry, before we do even that, let's actually link this live stream into our Discord server, which is a place where we're actually building a community of people interested in living, studying and working in Finland. And in the server, I also post updates about upcoming videos and live streams just like this one. So if you're not a member yet, I highly recommend that you consider joining. There's a link into the Discord server also in the description box below. All right, before we jump into the first question, super quickly, just want to say hey to everyone who just joined. Let me see who we actually have here. Eric, what's up? New location? No, it's not the new location. I just turned my desk around. I have something here behind my shoulder that is something super exciting. I will not most likely talk about it too much about this during this live stream, but it's something that I've been working on the side for quite a while, and it's something very, very, very exciting. Surjit, welcome. What's up? Welcome to the stream again. Konul, welcome to the channel and to the stream as well. Sidrark, welcome back to the stream. We have Pargamk, we have Zert Honix, what's up, welcome to the stream. We have Levon, Lopez, Eknosiwan, we have Mihail, what's up everyone, welcome to the stream. You guys know the drill. There is a link to a Google form in the description box below. If you have any questions, let me know in the Google form and I will actually jump into the questions right away. Before we actually start, Kanishka, I've never actually done the SATs myself. I'm a Finnish national, so I've never had to do the SATs. In Finland, for Finnish nationals, we have a completely separate application system, which does not include the SATs. So just, to let you know. What's up, Ines? What's up, Hossein? What's up, DJ Rocks? What's up, Chabi? What's up, Jackie? We have Pargam saying, I started learning Finnish and now I know the numbers from 1 to 199 and some family members in Finnish. That's really cool. Awesome. Really cool to hear. Awesome. Let's actually jump into it. We still have a bunch of questions in the form left from last week. And of course, people have been bringing sending in questions all week, so there's quite a lot of ground to cover. So let's jump into it right now. So the first question actually comes from Peter, who comes from Peru, who is also a regular on this channel, which I do appreciate. Peter is still in high school, but he's interested in doing applying for a bachelor's in engineering or chemistry at Aalto University. Very good choice. And the question is, how can I know what the exam is like or what kind of questions are being asked in the university selection exam in Finland? Great question. First of all, Aalto University bachelor's degree applications do not have any kind of a separate entrance exam. They either use the SATs, GREs, GMATs or something similar. So basically standardized tests that are done internationally. And of course, there's going to be changes to the SAT subject tests this year specifically. Some of them were discontinued after 2021. Or I'm sorry, after 2020. However, there's not yet a specific there's not yet specific information about what they're going to be replaced with. So please don't ask me about the SATs. I do not know the situation with them. No one knows. There's no official information about that yet. However, while I said Aalto University doesn't have any kind of an entrance exam per se when you apply for a bachelor's, this mostly applies to all universities in Finland as well. However, Finnish universities of applied sciences do have entrance exams, many of them, for different subjects. The problem here is that there are no way for you to know what kind of questions they ask unless you ask the people who actually applied last year. However, the problem with that, or problem trusting any kind of question listings or anything that you find on the web is that those questions and the exams change every single year. So it's completely impossible to say for sure what the actual questions are going to be like this year. So unfortunately, I cannot say, but hopefully this explained this topic. Then the next question comes from Gautam, who is also a regular on the channel. Awesome to have you here. Gautam is from India, starting school this semester at Aalto University, doing his master's in automation and electrical engineering. And the question is, hi Oliver, I guess people have asked this before, but what is the scope of automation and electrical engineering in Finland, especially in robotics and autonomous systems and machine learning and embedded systems? The scope of your studies, if you mean specifically, well, of course, you would be doing your master's there. You will be going really deep into the theory and into the topics here. And of course, it depends on whether you do both your major as well as your minor studies in engineering. However, you could also do your major in, you would be doing your major in whatever the field is that you're pursuing, and then you could do your minor in something else, for example, business. However, if you want to take both your major and minor in the same principal area, they can't be the exact same. But for example, you could take your major in robotics and then your minor, for example, in automation engineering, for example. And that way you can actually expand your skill set within the same field of studies per se. However, if you're talking about the scope of career opportunities, there's a bunch, especially automation, autonomous vehicles, automation, robotics, AI, especially machine learning. They're extremely rapidly growing fields in Finland as well as everywhere around the world. And for example, the company that I'm a part of, which this has quite a lot of to do with, we are actually going to need a lot of automation engineers in the upcoming years. And if any one of you is actually studying or coming to study automation, data sciences, machine learning, computer vision, robotics, or anything similar, please let me know. Actually, contact me through LinkedIn. Tell me, hey, Oliver, we met through your YouTube live stream. I'm studying this and this. I would love to talk to you about your company that you're building. We are building a super exciting technology company that we have already published it. However, we have not talked about the product that much publicly yet. You get a sneak peek right here over my shoulder. So that's something super exciting that I will be talking about in the future. But yeah, automation, engineering, robotics, very, very, very good opportunities career-wise in Finland. Absolutely. Let's see, super quickly before we actually jump into the next question from the forum. Let's see, Eric saying, nice, I'm still waiting for your office tour video. That's actually probably not ever coming from this office because it's such a mess. I basically have my desk, my, lighting system, my screens, etc. However, whenever we move to the next office, perhaps because of this company, I will definitely give you a tour, a very specific or detailed tour about it because it's super exciting. Then we have a question from Kalim. How are you? Let's see. How are you? I'm doing well. Hopefully you're doing well as well. I got my ACCA certification from UK and I want to get my admission in Masters in Finland. Cool. Apply for a master's program that you would be eligible to apply to. You have to actually go and look for master's programs that you would be eligible to apply based on your bachelor's degree. For example, if you have your ACCA, that would basically mean that you can just continue in that field. That's just a certification, but you can basically just continue in your field to do a master's. So start looking up universities that actually teach that specific topic in on the master's level, and then you just got to apply. That's as simple as that. Then Dinette asking, can a student balance his university fees and living expenses from part-time work? No, you cannot. You cannot physically. It's not possible for you. I've actually done the math in a video in Excel. You cannot pay for both your tuition fee as well as your living expenses with part-time work. It's simply not possible. You will not be able to find a job that pays that high, especially after taxes. It's simply not possible, especially considering that if you come from outside the European Union, you are only allowed to work for 25 hours per week on average during the school year. So no, that's not possible. It is possible, however, to pay for your living costs with part-time work. But however, do take into account that if you come from outside the European Union or European Economic Area, you need to apply for a residence permit to Finland. That residence permit is specifically a student visa. And according to the Finnish Immigration Service, which grants you the visa, you are not allowed to cover your living costs during the first year of your studies by working. You have to have the enough money saved on your account for at least the first year. The exact amount is 6,720 euros that has to be on your bank account at the time that you apply for the residence permit. For more information, please visit the Finnish Immigration Services website. It's migri.fi, migri.fi. Dineth saying, hey Oliver, I'm from Sri Lanka. Welcome to the stream. Awesome to have you here. Rishi, what's up? Welcome to the stream. Majid Ali, what's up? Welcome to the stream as well. I will, talk to everyone in the chat in just a moment, but we have a lot of questions in the forum, so let's jump back in there right now. So the next question from the forum comes from Nitiv V, who comes from India, and he is still in high school, but is interested in applying to either Aalto University or the University of Helsinki to do his bachelor's in quantum mechanics. Wow, okay, that's... I have no idea what that is. I've watched a lot of documentaries about space sciences. However, this, goes over my head. Yeah, but by the way, guys, I'm talking super fast. I've had way too much coffee today. Very Finnish. So five questions here. One, how much time do you have to give to college in a day? Depends on the school, depends on your major. However, the standard amount of time that you have to actually spend to, go to lectures, practice for your exams, get your assignments done and everything is, I think, around 9 to 10 hours a day, depending on whether you study 5 days a week or 7 days a week. So it's a full-time job. If you want to work part-time, then you will have to work extra hours on school just if you want to do well. So 8 to 10 hours per day, depending on whether you work 5 days a week or 7 days a week. I'm sorry, whether you study 5 or 7 days a week. Then second, will you help me if... will you help me? I'll pay you late on further queries. Unfortunately, I'm not doing any kind of personal consulting at this point. I have no way of doing it. I have no payment methods for it, as well as I actually don't have any time for that. So unfortunately, I cannot do this. You are coming from India. There's a lot of good consultancies in India that you can use in order to get through the application process, as well as the entire immigration process to Finland. But I'm not the correct person for that. 3, how much time can I get to work part-time? 25 hours per week on average during the time when classes are given. So if you come from outside the EU or EEA, European Union or European Economic Area, you can work in Finland while studying for 25 hours per week on average while during the academic year. This means that the average is not counted per week, but it's rather counted per semester. We have 2 semesters. The first one is in autumn, between mid-August until the end of the year, and the second one is from January all the way to early June. So 25 hours per week on average during both semesters. However, during Christmas holiday, which is usually a 2.5 week long holiday, as well as then summer holidays, which are, depending a bit on the school, around 3 months, you can work without any kind of restrictions, regardless of your nationality. Then, fourth, can I get admitted after 3 years of my high school because I have a gap certificate? Your gap year should not have any kind of impact on your admission. However, so basically that means that yes, you can. However, you still have to do really well in your application. Your gap year should not have an impact. At least I've never heard that it would have. Then 5, which university is good for science subjects? The University of Helsinki is the best university specifically for science and theoretical studies. However, quantum mechanics, I'm not sure if Aalto University has a program for that, but if they do, it's also a really good school. However, in your case, because you're applying for a bachelor first, I recommend that you apply for the University of Helsinki Bachelor's in Science, which gives you the eligibility to then apply to their master's level programs. For example, I would guess in quantum mechanics if they have such a program. So the University of Helsinki Bachelor's program in Science is the best for you. Very short videos. What's up? Welcome from China. Awesome to have people from all around the world. Jet Koti, welcome, my man. Awesome to have you here. Zylord Pah, welcome to each of you. Then Daniel Ugora question asking, is there any hour limitations to a postgraduate student working in his profession? So if we're talking about PhD studies, then the whether or not you can work alongside your PhD studies depends on your school. Please go to the university websites to actually check this out. The reason why there are limitations from some schools is because PhD studies in Finland are actually paid work. There's a completely separate funding system for them, but it's basically defined as your day job. So some do. Jess saying, Moi Oliver, congratulations for reaching 10,000 subscribers. Thank you very much, Jess. Thank you for everyone who has been hanging out here. Rishi actually saying the same thing. Keep doing the good work. Your channel deserves more subscribers. Hope your channel grows more. On now. Thank you. Rock and roll. Yeah, it's been pretty crazy. One of my videos has absolutely gone viral on my standards. Just a week and almost 30,000 views. That's unheard of on my channel, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, the channel is growing, which is awesome because that means the community is growing. We get more and more people, to get familiar with the educational opportunities that Finland has to offer, and that makes me very happy. Kashis, what's up? Welcome to the stream. Naven, welcome to the stream as well. And then Adama, I already clicked your name, so let's go through this. How much is it? Or how hard is it really to get into Tampere or Aalto universities? So Aalto University is the best university in Finland in the fields of technology, business, and arts and design, and it's very difficult to get in as a general. There's a lot of applicants, only a very small portion of the applicants are accepted. Tampere University is a bit easier, but it's still not easy either. So Aalto University is one of the most difficult ones to get into in Finland. However, then again, it always depends on your personal, educational background, when it comes to how difficult it is actually to get in. So statistics you can always cite, but it's always up to you. Then the next question comes from Gotham again, and the question is, and how easy is it for international students to find jobs across Europe in my field, automation and electrical engineering, with specializations in robotics and autonomous systems? Germany has good autonomous vehicle companies like Argo AI and Aptiv. France has Navia, and Finland has Unikey. Sweden has Volvo. But I'd like to apply to all of these companies, and is it a possibility to work in these places after studying in Finland? Yeah, absolutely. If you have studied in Finland, you can absolutely work anywhere around the world. However, you would have to take into account that those countries might have different residence permit processes, even if you have studied in Finland. So that's simply something that you have to take into account. However, as mentioned, Gotham, there's a lot of automation engineering, robotics type of jobs available in Finland in a lot of really interesting companies. For example, ours, wink wink. So again, anyone studying these fields, do contact me via LinkedIn, and I'll let you know a bit more about what we're working on. Then the next question comes from Rishi, who comes from India, and Rishi is studying school this semester at the University of Oulu, doing his master's in business analytics. The question is, hey, I'll be landing in Oulu at night. So that would be, this question came in, I think last week. Oh, cool. Okay, so you have been in the country for almost a week. That's awesome. Will it be safe to go to my apartment at night, or is it better or allowed to spend the night at the airport? This is actually a very good question, and depending on where you're coming from, this is a very relevant question. When you arrive to Finland, when you step your foot into the Finnish soil, you have officially arrived into the safest country in the world, according to the UN. Finland is the safest country in the world, in addition to in general, also to women. That's a whole different statistic. So absolutely, once you have arrived onto the airport, take a taxi from the airport or use the public transportation. Both are perfectly safe. Go to your apartment if you already have the keys. However, of course, if you come during the night and you can only pick up your keys during the day, then you can stay at the hotel. That's completely fine as well. However, public transportation, taxis, any kind of mode of transportation, whether it be Uber or anything like this, completely and utterly safe to use in Finland at all hours of the day. And you should absolutely not be afraid in Finland at all, even no matter if you're a young person, an older person, a woman, or a man or a woman. So really important question. Absolutely, you can use the public transportation or taxis during the night. And by the way, actually talking about this, in taxis in Finland, there are very, very heavy regulations. So using taxis is very safe in Finland as well, in terms of there are no scams. There are literally no scams in Finland. If there are, you have been, you have hit the one taxi out of, 1 million taxis that are running in the country that do run some kind of a scam. Taxis are super, super safe. They use meters or tickers that are accurate and you can trust them. However, if you're not 100% sure, you can just ask for the fee from the airport to your location and they should be able to give you some kind of an estimate. Cool. Really important question to anyone who is coming to Finland at this time. Then the next question comes from Artis, who comes from Latvia, and Artis is starting school this semester at the SAMK University of Applied Sciences, doing his bachelor's in becoming a sea captain. Very cool. Then the question is, can't find a place to live in. Private markets are very expensive. Do you have any advice? Yeah. If you have not applied to student apartments, please do apply immediately. However, if you apply to student apartments this close to the start of the semester, there's no way for you to get an apartment before the start of the semester. So you just have to, put yourself into the queues and just wait. Until then, hotels and Airbnb are extremely expensive. You have to find an apartment from the private market. Basically, just Google the name of your city and rental apartments, and you should find something. This is something that I talk about all the time in almost every single one of my videos where I talk about studying in Finland. Guys, you have to apply for student apartments really early. Early doesn't mean a month before you come to Finland. It means 4 months before you come to Finland. The queues for student apartments in Finland are extremely long at worst. And if you don't apply for them early enough, you will not be getting a student apartment at the start of the semester. That's as simple as it goes. And the thing is, as Artis here mentioned, is that private market apartments are extremely expensive. The kind of rule of thumb is that you will have to pay at minimum double the rent compared to what you would be paying for a student apartment. So that's a big mistake if you don't apply for student apartments early enough. There's simply nothing that you can do here. Just apply for private market apartments, get yourself into the queues for student apartments, and then you just have to wait, unfortunately. Then the next question comes from Amek Monsef El Hamas, who comes from France and is still in high school, but is interested in doing a bachelor's in medicine at the University of Helsinki. And the question is, can medicine be taught in English in Finland for international students? No. It cannot. So at the time of this live stream on August 26th, 2021, Finland does not have a single university that teaches medicine in English on a bachelor's level. So if you want to become a medical doctor in Finland, it is not possible to do that in English. There are some master's level studies in the field of medicine in English. However, those will not give you the certification to work as a medical doctor. Those are specializations inside the field of medicine, mostly in research. However, if you want to become a medical doctor and you don't speak Finnish, then you cannot do that in Finland. That's very unfortunate, but that's how the system works. The Finnish healthcare sector is one of the best in the world, but it's also very heavily regulated. And one of the things means that you have to be fluent enough in Finnish to actually be able to first of all, use all the systems that we have here in place, but also serve all of your customers in Finnish or patients in Finnish. And there's no other way for you to do that except study the whole program to become a doctor in Finnish. And that's the only way to do it, unfortunately. Then the next question comes from Kasram, who comes from Iran and who is applying to do his bachelor's in Kayani, University of Applied Sciences, doing his degree in sports. Awesome. And the question is, hi Oliver, how are you doing? I'm doing great. Hopefully you're doing good as well. Do you have any whoa, that came up high. Whoops. By the way, I've changed my trusty water pint to a bottle because this is a bit safer with all the electronics. Plus, it's easier to monitor how much water I'm actually drinking during the day. It's a 1 liter bottle. Do you have any information about the Kayani University of Applied Sciences in Sports and Leisure Management degree? It has written that they have an entrance exam, which I did not find any information about. And I want to know if you have any information about this kind of exams. No, I don't. Unfortunately, every single University of Applied Sciences has their own entrance exam that are built specifically for those degrees or those fields that you're applying to, and there is no public information about these exams. The only information that you get is that is when you apply, they will invite you to the exam if you pass the first stage, and they will then give you some preliminary information about for example, the topics or how to prepare for the exam. However, on top of that, there's no official information available. However, if there are, those are exceptions, and every single piece of official information will be on the university websites themselves. Please do not trust a YouTuber or any kind of blogger about this kind of information, simply because even if those specific people, the YouTubers or whoever, had gone through the same exam a couple of years earlier, the exams actually change every single year. So it's absolutely not worth trusting what they say, especially if they tell you that, okay, they're going to answer or ask you specifically this or this. That's gonna screw you completely. So unfortunately, I don't have any way of answering this because I don't have any information. Let's see. Super quickly, the next. Okay, one more question from the forum, then I'll jump into the chat for just a second. The next question from the forum comes from Albert, who comes from India and who is applying to the Tampere University of Applied Sciences to do his bachelor's in business management. And the question is, hey Oliver, is BBA in entrepreneurship and leadership from TAMK a good choice? I'm planning to apply for it in January intake. So if you're only looking to do a bachelor's degree and you know that you do not want to do a master's, at least not immediately after your bachelor's, then a University of Applied Sciences in general is the right choice. However, if you already now know that you want to do a master's degree as well as on top of your bachelor's, then please do not apply for a University of Applied Sciences, because then you need to reapply to a separate master's program afterwards. However, if you already know that you want to do a master's after your bachelor's, please apply to universities. The reason is because when you are admitted to study a bachelor's degree in Finland in a university, you're also automatically admitted to continue to a master's degree right after you graduate, and there's no separate application process. However, again, as I mentioned, if you do your bachelor's in a University of Applied Sciences and you want to do a master's degree afterwards, you have to go through the same similar application process again after graduation, and so that's basically time wasted that you would not have to waste if you go to university. However, if you want to go to a University of Applied Sciences to study a BBA in entrepreneurship and leadership, then TAMK University of Applied Sciences is a really good school for that. Yes. So answer to your question is yes, it is. Then the next question comes from Gina, who comes from Thailand, and Gina is applying to the Satakunta University of Applied Sciences as well as the Tampere University of Applied Sciences to do her bachelor's in nursing. Very good. And the question is, hey Oliver, thanks for doing these Q&A live sessions. It's very helpful. You're most welcome. Here are my questions. Number one, in your opinion, could you tell pros and cons of studying and living in Pori and Tampere in terms of placement of opportunities, part-time jobs, school facilities, etc.? So to be quite honest, I've actually never been to the Pori or Tampere campuses, so I actually cannot comment on those. In terms of job placements, when we're talking about the specific field of healthcare and nursing especially, there's job placements all around Finland. We actually have a massive demand for nurses everywhere around Finland. So basically, no matter which large city you're studying in, there is going to be a need for nurses after your graduation. So for that, they're both excellent. Of course, the most amount of jobs are in the capital region. However, Pori and Tampere are perfect for this specific field. Then second question, how about the school reputation among these two? So that would be Pori University of Applied Sciences as well as Tampere University of Applied Sciences. Both are excellent universities of applied sciences, and I can wholeheartedly recommend either of them if they have a program that you feel suits your interests. Then the next question comes from Naomi, and then I'll jump into the chat. Naomi is coming from France or from Martinique, and she is applying to every single university that would accept her file to do her master's in something. Not sure yet. Oh, that's cool. So the question is, would it be possible to go from a degree in biology, specifically in health and food sciences in my case, to another field in master's degree like business administration or tourism, or another field that could take me into that could take into account some of the highly scientific subjects without having to start all over again? Really great question. Unfortunately, the answer is no, question mark. When you apply for a master's degree in Finland, the general rule of thumb, and this depends on the university as well as the master's program that you're applying to, and the last say is always with at the university that you're applying to. However, having said this, the general rule of thumb that every single university gives is that you need to have a bachelor's degree or a previous degree. It could also be another master's. That makes you eligible to apply for that specific master's program. And what the eligibility is, or what it means, is that you need to, the degree that you have done before has to be from a field that supports your studies on a master's level in the new field that you're applying for. So actually a classic example is that if you have a bachelor's from biology, you will absolutely not be able to apply for a master's in business, because they are not even close to being alike. And a bachelor's degree in Finland is usually just the basic information you get, business 101 about everything that you can hope for, and then in the master's degree you go super deep into those topics. So if you haven't had those basic courses on a bachelor's level, there's no way for you to study that topic in master's. So another classic example is that if you have a bachelor's degree in technology, let's say software development, you cannot go to biology to do your master's. However, for example, if you have a bachelor's in mathematics, you could perhaps apply for a degree in master's in business, or for example in technology or any science-based fields, because those do have some overlap and they do kind of support each other. However, as I mentioned, the university has the last say on this. So just take that into account. All right, jumping really quickly into the chat, we have M. Dober saying, why Oliver has some of the eyes with the darkest shade of blue I've ever seen. They look almost black. Do they? That's interesting. I actually have green eyes, but I guess it doesn't really show because the lighting makes them look a bit more darker, or I'd say. And the question, anyway, thank you. That's kind of cool. Then Paz asking, which university is good for history or international relations? That would be the University of Helsinki, hands-on. It's the absolute best university in these fields. Then actually super interesting question from Daisio Ferrara is, why did Finland grow so fast? Back so fast after the independence from the USSR, so the Soviet Union, basically. That's actually a really interesting question, and it's one of the reasons why we have such a great technological sector, as well as why we have such a good educational system. So basically, after the Second World War, we had to concede to the Soviet Union, which tried to invade us, and we lost some of our areas in north as well as in southeast to Soviet Union. And in addition, we actually had to pay a huge war reparation. So we had to pay them back some of the money that they basically lost during the war, even though they attacked us first. So that's interesting. Regardless, one of the reasons why we have such a good technological sector is because in order to pay for those war reparations, we had to actually, as a country, invest a lot of money into technology, into factories, into the people, so education, and all of that has accumulated over the years. And then, of course, we had the IT boom, we had Nokia, etc. But that was kind of the basis for everything. So we have a huge, long history in technology and factoring and all kinds of engineering. So that's one of the reasons why we actually were able to come back so quickly after the Second World War. Very interesting question. Then Rahul asking, just a moment. Rahul is asking something, but just hold for a second. Just a moment. So just letting everyone know, specifically now, Kapil and Ashish, if you spam the same questions in the chat, first of all, I will not answer your questions, and second, you will be first put on timeout in the chat, so you will not be able to post any new questions. And then after, if you continue spamming the same question all over again, you will get booted from the live stream and also get banned from the channel. If you want to get your question answered, ask your question once in the chat, maybe once every half an hour or so, and I will get to it if I have the time. Or if you want to make sure that I answer your questions, please post your question in the Google form. That I have a link for the Google form for a reason. However, again, if you continue spamming the same question in the chat, first of all, I will not answer it and you will get booted from the channel. There's a lot of people here who want to get their questions answered. And actually now, because you spammed so many questions into the chat, I'm actually not able to scroll all the way back to the questions where I was before, because the YouTube live chat allows me to see only X amount of chats at the same time. So thank you. I'm not able to answer anyone else's question from the last 10 minutes or so because you spammed your question so many times. So everyone else is losing here. So that's not cool. So yeah, again, you're on timeout. And if you keep on this, I will simply just ban you from the channel. That's the rules. All right. So anyway, yeah, I cannot go back into the questions that everyone asked before because of the other guys filled the chat with their questions. So I have to go back into the Google form, where the next question comes from Olen, who comes from Tunisia. And Olen is from Tunisia, and she's applying for a master's in human sciences, sociology specifically, at the University of Helsinki or the University of Turku. Very good choices. And the question is, the scholarships for those schools, are they related to the student's age? And how can I know about scholarship terms? So the scholarships that Finnish universities grant have absolutely nothing to do with the applicant's age. Rather, the scholarships are always granted on a competitive basis, meaning that the best applicants will get the scholarships. Then in terms of the scholarship terms, simply just Google University of Helsinki scholarships or the University of Turku scholarships, and you will actually see the information there right away. I can actually show you a example here. So if you're looking at the University of Helsinki Helsinki scholarships, just Google University of Helsinki scholarships. You can see that I've Googled this quite a lot. Just hit enter, and the first link that you're going to see is tuition fees and scholarship programs. Then you can actually see the scholarship programs right here, and you have all the information that you need for the scholarships on this page. The same applies to every university in Finland. Please do note that scholarships in Finland are always university specific, and every single university has their own scholarship programs. So the same information that you can see right here does not apply to other universities. So just take that into account. Just kind of continuing on the same topic, Ashish, everyone else here in the live stream also really need to know the answer to their questions. I have a system in place that is fair for everyone. This is absolutely not going to help you at all. Pestering me about answering questions is not going to help. Again, it's just going to get you booted from the channel. I'm answering questions in the order that they come in through the Google form. Sometimes I jump back into the chat. However, when I go into the chat, I only pick up a couple of questions, couple of comments, because I'm always prioritizing people who post their questions into the Google form. That's just the rules of the channel. Abide by them or you're going to get booted. It's as simple as that, because I'm trying to help people as much as possible and I'm trying to be fair to everyone. So far, just to let everyone know, by the way, if you're getting some value out of the live stream, or for example in general just about the channel, I would really appreciate if you could just gently tap the like button. We are currently at 27 likes, and it would be awesome to get to somewhere around 50 likes before the end of the stream. Just as context, so far during all the weekly live streams, I've already answered 1,615 questions in total. So hopefully you guys are getting some value out of this. The only reason why I actually do these live streams is that I'm able to answer your questions specifically live, so that I'm going to be able to go a bit deeper into the questions, because my normal uploads are not good for this kind of stuff. All right. Anyways, the next question comes from Naveen Mayantha, who comes from Sri Lanka, and Nayem is applying to do her master's. His master's in cybersecurity at the University of Turku. And the question is, how about facilities for Asians, because they are not European students? What kind of facilities for Asians? I don't understand the question. There are no ethnically based facilities for anyone. I actually don't understand even the entire question. If you want to, Naven, to give me a bit more context around this in the chat, ping me in the chat and elaborate a bit what you mean. However, there are no facilities, especially if we're talking about schools. There are no, ethnically based facilities or services to anyone. It's all unified for everyone. I don't really even understand the question. Tehas Kaushik asking, I joined the stream late. Did Oliver answer my question yet? No, I didn't. There's actually a bunch of questions in the forum this week, so just hang on, sit tight, have a cup of coffee or tea, for example, and just you're gonna have to wait for a while because there's a bunch of questions in the queue. However, I'm going to get to your question. Don't worry about it. Then the next question comes from Eva, who comes from Germany, and Eva is already studying in Finland in the field of doing her PhD in engineering. And the question is, I'm already doing a PhD in Finland, marine sciences to be exact, and now my boyfriend wants to move here as well. Do you think it's possible for him to find a job without knowing Swedish or Finnish? He finishes his master's in electrical engineering soon. Eva, that's a great question. The answer is absolutely yes. However, do take into account that the time that it will take for him to find a job in Finland is going to take quite a while. You should prepare to take around half a year in its entirety for the application process. There are absolutely a lot of really good and high-paid jobs in this field in Finland, and however, finding those first and getting through the job application process in Finland as someone who isn't familiar with the Finnish job market is sometimes a bit difficult. So the answer is absolutely yes. It's just going to take some time. And however, do note that the job application process is very different from in Finland compared to what it is in Germany. I know this because I've studied German and I've actually lived in Germany for a while in Munich. And I actually have a friend who just applied to work in Finland from Germany. And I actually had to help him quite a bit with his CV and for example, motivation letter, because he had formulated those in a international or German way. However, you have to really know how to formulate your motivation letter and CV so that they work in Finland specifically. So if he wants to contact me via LinkedIn, let him know that he can do so, and I can try to give him a couple of pointers to get started with. However, also you could take into account that I'm actually working on a super comprehensive job application course that is specifically about job. The idea of the course is to help you, navigate through all the difficulties in the job market in Finland, and speed up the job application process by months. And it's actually the course is built 50-50 by me and my old colleague who has over 10 years of experience in the Finnish job market as a recruiter and, for example, as a senior person in a recruitment company in Finland. And the course is not yet live, but it's coming up hopefully early September or so. And that information is going to be super valuable for your boyfriend if he's interested. So just, let him know about that as well. Again, let him know or ask him to contact me on LinkedIn. I can give you a couple of pointers, but I can't go too deep into, personal tips. Anyway, the next question from the forum comes from Tehas Govind, actually, which is awesome. And Tehas is from India and applying to Aalto University, doing his bachelor's in computer sciences and engineering. And the question is, hey Oliver, wanted to know if I could get a 100% scholarship in Aalto University for computer sciences. With my profile, I have, my SAT score is X, Ielts is X, and my GPAs are X and Y from my high school years. The reason why I'm not even citing the exact numbers is because simply I don't know the exact numbers or the statistics or grades for getting a scholarship in any university in Finland, they're not known. First of all, because universities in Finland do not publish the minimum requirements to get a scholarship in Finland. Secondly, is that your GPA, your Ielts, your SATs, they're not the only things that are taken into account when you apply. The exact requirements depend on the school and the program that you're applying to. However, there's no way for me to take these numbers and tell you anything. I simply cannot tell you anything. First of all, I have no idea, what to say about SAT scores anyways, because I've never done the SATs myself. We don't use that in Finland for Finnish students. The same for a language, test as well. So unfortunately, I have no idea. There's no public information about this, and this is the reason why I haven't talked about this topic in my videos, because I don't know, unfortunately. Anyway, then the next question comes from Tavisha Kovind, who comes from India as well, and she's applying to do her bachelor's in information technology at the University of Helsinki or Aalto University. And the question is, hey, just wanted to know what basically are the criteria for giving scholarships to international students, and what are the chances? Thanks. Again, the chances are unknown. The universities do not give any kind of, or some universities do, but most of them don't give any kind of statistics of the percentages of people who get scholarships compared to the entire amount of applicants. So I cannot answer that question, again, for the same reasons that I just cited previously. There's no public information about this. Then the second question was the criteria for granting scholarships. Again, the exact criteria are not known. They're not public. The universities do not have to publicize this information. However, what is known is that the scholarships are granted on a competitive basis, meaning that universities grant them to the best applicants every single year. And because of the level of applicants changes every single year, and the actual application requirements might also change every single year. Again, it's impossible to say what are the minimum requirements to get a scholarship. 50%, 100%, impossible to say, unfortunately. So they are competitive. Only the best applicants get them. So that's the only thing that I can say here. Apollo Ayus is saying, Apollo Ayus is saying, I'm moving to Finland tomorrow to study at Aalto University. Hey, awesome. Welcome to Finland. I hope you will have a safe flight. Sleep well. We are actually having a bit of a storm here in Finland, so unfortunately your first impression of Finland in terms of the weather might not be the best. Hopefully tomorrow will be a better weather because I'm going out with a couple of friends. But yeah, welcome to Finland. Awesome to have you here. Really cool to have people in the community actually apply and get admitted and actually come to Finland. That's so cool, and it's one of the biggest drivers that I actually have for this channel, to see these kind of messages where people are actually come to Finland, not necessarily because of the content that I'm making, but to hear that the content that I've made, for example, these live streams, is having any kind of an impact, hopefully positive, to you guys. So that's really cool. Apollo, welcome to Finland. Hopefully you're going to have a safe flight. Do check out my video that I posted just a second ago, where a few days ago, where I talk about the things, or actually the question is, did I actually post it yet? Let me check. I might actually not have posted it yet. No, because you would need that. Damn, I actually haven't done. No, sorry. No, sorry. Yeah, actually, Apollo, what I recommend you to do is, because you're moving in tomorrow, I would highly recommend that you go, if you have not yet, check out my one of my latest videos, which is this one. 10 things that you have to do before you actually move to Finland. You can also find it from the home screen here. If you go a bit downwards, right here, relocating to Finland. I give a bunch of really good tips on, for example, how to survive your first days or first week without, for example, internet connection here in Finland. So please go and check that out, and then, for example, come back to the stream. You're going to thank me afterwards for the information. It's going to save you a lot of trouble. Anyway, then the next question comes from Alung, who comes from Cameroon. Again, welcome to the stream. Awesome to have someone from Cameroon join us. And Alung is applying to Tampere University, doing his bachelor's in project management. And the question is, I have a bachelor's in science in accounting, and I wish to know if it's possible to gain an admission to study a second bachelor's in project management. Absolutely, yes. There's absolutely no reason why you would not have any opportunity or chance to get admitted to a second bachelor's. In fact, actually having a previous degree, even if it's on the same level but from a different field, might actually be a very good thing for you when you apply, especially if you have really good grades, because that gives shows the university your suitability for an academic environment. So absolutely yes, and this actually might help you even in the application. Not sure if it will, but it might. So that's just take into account. All right, so the next question from the form comes from Alexandra Wojtko, who comes from Poland, and I hope that I pronounced your last name correctly. Alexandra has not yet decided whether or not she wants to study in Finland, but is interested in a master's in architecture. Very good. And the question is, you can skip my question since it's my second one, but if you have the time and energy, Alexandra, please let the questions come in. This is the reason why I'm doing these live streams. Please, if you have any questions, even if they might have been asked before, just bring it on. A lot of different people come here, for example, watch these in replay. So every single question that comes in is a first time of hearing the answer to someone. So everyone just keep the questions coming in. Doesn't matter if they have been answered or asked or answered before. Just keep them coming. This is the reason why I do this. So the question, it surely takes a ton of time and hard work learning Finnish and preparing for exams with Finnish books. But keeping in mind that a person is really devoted, how much time would it take to learn good Finnish? Is 4 years enough? If you really devote yourself to learning Finnish, if you have a good teacher, and if you have the good materials and you actually spend the time, yes, in 4 years you can get your Finnish language skills to a very, very fluent level. Of course, you then have to learn the professional language and vocabulary separately. However, when we're talking about day-to-day interactions and just normal life in Finland, absolutely 4 years is going to be enough if you really devote it. Devote your time. I actually happen to know a South Korean guy who spent 2 months in Finland before the start of our studies. We actually started at the same time at Aalto University, and he had spent 2 months in Finland learning Finnish, and he had many of the basic day-to-day, lingo just drilled down, and it was so impressive. He basically just introduced himself to me in Finnish. His pronunciation was pitch perfect, and I actually had to separately ask him, wait, are you actually a Finnish person? Because your pronunciation is perfect. And he said, no, I'm from South Korea. I've been here for 2 months. So super impressive. He's pretty brilliant. I think he actually went to study in Harvard afterwards. So not maybe the normal person, but still absolutely possible if you just devote the time. Then the next question comes also from Naveen, and from Naveen previously, Naveen comes from Sri Lanka, coming to study at the University of Turku, doing his master's in cybersecurity. And the question is, I just finished my previous degree. Now I'm coming to Finland next year for a master's degree to the University of Turku. Give me some details. I'm a Sri Lankan student. This is a very wide open question. So what I would recommend you to do, instead of me, rambling here for 2 hours straight, not answering anyone else's question, go to my channel and simply start going through the different playlists that I have here on the channel. For example, want to study in Finland, start here. Start going through the different videos here. Of course, you don't have to go through these videos about the universities because you already know where to, apply. However, you need to, learn about tuition fees, scholarships, how to actually apply. Then, for example, I have a playlist here where I talk about the application system itself, what kind of application methods we have, when do you apply, and how. Then I actually have a step-by-step guide on actually how to fill up the application form in studyinfo.fi, which is the official platform. I have information about things that you need to do before you actually start filling the form, because you need to have certain documents, for example, translated and certified before you actually apply, and everything else. So start going through the playlists. There's going to be a lot of stuff that you're going to need, or a lot of information that you're going to need. And then Of course, if you have any questions during this live stream, just bring them on. However, when you're watching the videos on the channel, post every single question that you have into the videos, specific videos, and I will get to you as soon as possible. My goal, even though the channel is growing really fast, my goal is to answer every single person at a, you know, somewhat of a good timeline. It's getting a bit difficult now because there's so many comments coming in. However, I'm trying to get to every single one of you until it's simply physically impossible for me to do so. Anyway, the next question from the forum comes from David or David. I think David because he comes from Finland. He's already studying in Finland, doing his bachelor's in BBA. And there's a couple of questions here. First of all, there's a bunch of questions about buying a home in Helsinki. Let's go through this super quickly. How much loan can we get from a bank? There's no strict rule for this. Depends on what kind of a loan you're taking, what your income is, how much do you actually have saved. So please call a bank, schedule a meeting and talk to them. It's bank specific as well as based on your background. Second, best bank to get a loan from. There's not a single best bank. Please call and discuss with multiple banks and then see whose rates are the best and from whom do you get the best offer. Third, interest rate from loans depends on your credit scores as well as your income as well as all the funds that you have. There is no fixed income or rate loan for there's no fixed interest rates in Finland for bank loans. It's always dependent on you. You can also negotiate them with the banks. Best sites for searching homes. There's a bunch. Just Google, homes, buying homes Helsinki or homes for sale Helsinki, homes Helsinki, apartments Helsinki. You will find a bunch of platforms. Some of them are only in Finnish. However, there's also a bunch that are in English. If you cannot find those that are in English, go to the ones that are in Finnish. Install a Google Translate plugin to your browser if you use Chrome, and then use Google Translate to translate the entire page in English. That's kind of a pro tip. How much down payment do we have to pay? Again, depends on you and depends on the contract, depends on your bank how much loan you can actually get. It's all personal. There's no fixed there's never any fixed rules here. It's always dependent on you, your ability to pay, as well as the type of a loan that you get, your income, your job, etc. Then about buying cars. Are cars expensive in Helsinki? Cars in Finland are expensive. The biggest reason is the taxation for cars is expensive in Finland. Used versus new cars. Used cars are cheaper in general. However, of course, if you want to sell them, at some point, you will get even a lower price. So there's, both pros and cons to both. 3, should we pay down payments for cars? Again, the same thing, depends on what kind of a deal you're making. There's no fixed rules here. 4, best insurance provider. There's no single best insurance provider. For example, for us, we have our car insurance from IF. However, every single time, and this applies to everyone, if you're getting any kind of a loan, if you're getting any kind of an insurance, if you're getting any kind of an electricity or utility a contract for your home, your car, whatever, every single time contact multiple service providers, whether it's the banks, the utility providers, or car sales people, and negotiate the best rates for yourself and see which of these service providers actually gets you the best rates or the best deal. There's no fixed anything in Finland ever in these kind of things. Negotiate and call multiple service providers. This applies to everyone here in the stream in terms of everything. Then the next question comes from okay, there's a lot of questions here about opening up a company. I'm not the correct person here to talk about opening up your own company. I'm not a certified accountant. I'm not a financial expert. I'm not a financial advisor. So I cannot, give you advice on this because I don't want you to screw up everything because I gave you bad advice. So I have to skip the rest of them and actually, jump into the next question. Carl saying, my question wasn't answered. Sigh. Carl, if you haven't posted your question into the Google form, as is said here at the bottom of the screen, I'm not able to get to every question in the chat. In fact, I'm actually not answering questions right now in the chat or from the chat. I'm actually answering the questions from the Google form. That's how these live streams work. The reason why I do it this way is because the chat gets extremely busy. People spam around. Sometimes YouTube crashes and I'm not able to see the chat. So there's no way for me to answer every single question from the chat. Instead, what I do is I have a Google form. There's a link below in the description, and I collect all the questions into an Excel, which I have here open on my computer, and that helps me go through every single question that comes in the order that they come in. And if you come in late, we always start the stream every single Thursday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern European summertime, or Eastern European time when we're not in the summertime. If you want to get your question answered fast, please be on time, because if not, I will have a bunch of questions that I have to go through first. So that's just the way the system works. Actually, Teha saying that Oliver, you should start vlogging. I have actually considered this, but I am extremely uncomfortable using cameras in public. So this is actually one of the big reasons why I haven't started vlogging. I'm considering it. However, I would really need to plan out what kind of topics I want to talk about, because, you know, just following my everyday life is absolutely not, you know, going to be anything interesting for you guys. Rather, I would actually want to give value in every single video that I do. So it could be in a vlog format. However, I still want to talk about, you know, education and early career development in every single video. But a really cool question. Anyway, the next question from the form comes from Srinivas, who comes from India and who is applying to any university that is suitable to do his master's in computer sciences. Specifically for you, I would recommend Aalto University. It's the best university in Finland for engineering and technology, and also for computer sciences. Anyway, the question is, I took the Ielts general exams. Will that be enough to apply for a master's in Finland, or do I have to take the Ielts academic exam before applying to any university? The same answer that I give basically every single person. Please check the exact application requirements from the university website. Every single university in Finland has specific and individual application requirements, and they are updated every single year. So for example, if you're applying to study in Finland to do your master's, you will have to apply in the starting in December when the application opens, and the information for the general application requirements for this upcoming application round starting in December for master's programs, they have not been updated yet. They usually are updated somewhere around September, October, you know, ish area. However, what you need to do is, and this applies to every single person who is wanting to apply to study in Finland. Just a second, Tresor, I'm from Finland. I've been born and bred in Finland, in Helsinki, or in the capital region. So yes, I'm a local here, you know, student or graduate in Finland. Anyway, back to the question. So basically, if you want to apply to Finland, you know, regardless of the university, whether you want to do a bachelor's, master's, or a PhD, if you want to see the exact requirements, please go and please do this before you apply or do any exams like IELTS, SATs, or anything. Please do this before, so that you don't do the wrong exams. Google the university name, so Aalto University, the level of the degree, so in this case master's, and then just, you know, programs or whatever. We could just do it like this. And then, for example, here we have Aalto University, aalto.fi is the correct website, applying to master's programs. Click this, then go to how to apply. Here we have the entire process for applications. And we have, for example, applications and the application documents that you actually need. And then you have, for example, instructions for translating the documents, etc. However, what we really need to check here is the general eligibility for in master's admission. So there's a lot of stuff here that you need to be, you know, you need to check a lot of boxes before you can even apply in general. However, here at Aalto University, you have a lot of study option specific eligibility requirements. And from here, for example, you will need to go to study options webpage. And here we could then look for technology and engineering. So we're filtering out the degrees, master's level, English, and then, for example, computer science There you go. Master's program in Computer Communication Information Sciences, Computer Sciences. From here, we would go to the application website for the specific program. And from here, we would then look for program-specific admission requirements. We have evaluation criteria. We have, for example, the GPA. We have the grades from your previous degree. We have the relevance of your previous studies. We have blah, 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 suitability, interviews, etc. We have X amount of documents that you need to do, for example. And for example, here, if you go to back into the general application, the criteria, let's see, language proficiency, proof of language proficiency at all university master programs. Language requirements, so it's another page. Blah, blah, blah. For example, Ielts academic. So here you have all the details about the Ielts, specific Ielts exams that you can actually do and the scores that you need at minimum even to be considered. So again, please start going through the specific application pages for the university that you're applying to. You will find all the specific information that you need from the websites. There, that's it. I could talk about this, I could repeat myself multiple times. However, that's, the way it goes. So I hope that this answered your question. Tresor saying, okay, aika hyvin puhut enkkua, translating into, okay, so you're Finnish, that's kind of cool. You're speaking, good English for a Finnish person. Yeah, I've had a lot of practice. For example, during the X hundred of live streams that I've done and all the videos that I've done so far. So yeah, thank you. I'll take that as a compliment. Anyway, the next question comes from Yannick, who comes from Germany. Hello, Yannick. Willkommen. And Yannick is applying to Metropolia, University of Applied Sciences, to do his bachelor's in media, specifically film and television. And the question is, should I get a credit card to pay for stuff, or are there better options in Finland? I'm going to be in Helsinki for 1 semester as an exchange student. If you come to Finland as an exchange student, if you have a European payment card, especially if you have a MasterCard or a Visa, you should be able to do just fine with them. Just make sure that the cards have been accepted for international use, specifically in Finland, from your bank. Usually this is done from your internet banking system. So just make sure that they work. However, if you do not have a Visa or a MasterCard, or for example, any of the global really big ones, let's say, what would be the one? Any of the really big international credit cards, like, let's see. I'm trying to find a very, very specific one. Come on, why am I... American Express. So for example, if you have American Express, that is going to work in Finland, basically anywhere in the world. However, in generally, Visas and MasterCards work really well here. If you don't have a Visa or a MasterCard, you could get some kind of a international credit card, because those work really well in Finland as well. However, if you come to Finland for just 1 semester, you will not be able to get a local card. So just make sure that whatever you come with is usable in Finland. Just, call your bank and make sure that the card is going to work here with the local payment terminals. So that should be fine. By the way, in Finland, just to let everyone know, in Finland, cash payments are actually extremely rare, and in Finland we pay almost everything either by card or by with contactless payment, so basically with your phone or watch or whatever. So just take that into account. I would still recommend that everyone has some euros in cash at all times, just a couple of 10 euros, 20 euros, 50 euros or 100 euros, just in case. However, basically every single place in Finland, anywhere you go, takes cards, and many of them actually don't take cash anymore. So make sure that you have a payment card that works in Finland. So that's a very good tip, insider tip for everyone. Yeah, American Express. Thank you. I'm losing my mind. Anyway, the next question from the form comes again from Tejas, who comes from India again, who is still in high school, applying to Aalto University or the University of Helsinki, doing his bachelor's in science and or design. And the question is, how and from where can I get guidance for securing my admission in Finland? There are services, both local and internationals. I know that there are a bunch of consultancies in India. However, what I would recommend you to do is not to use any consultancies, because usually, in my opinion, those are a waste of money. Rather, the application process to Finnish universities is actually pretty straightforward once you just spend enough time, figuring everything out. And even if you pay a consultant or any kind of an advisor, it's very questionable whether or not they will be able to help your chances of getting admitted into Finland. At least I have never heard of. Of course, I'm sure that there are good consultancies that can help you, for example, with your motivation letters or whatever. However, especially considering if your application is based on your SATs, your previous, degree grades, and something else, usually any kind of a consultant doesn't do any good for you, because the only thing that they will be helping you with is basically just filling out the application form, which you can do on your own if you just spend the time on it. So really consider hard whether or not you actually need the help of any kind of an outsider, because those kind of services sometimes are actually quite expensive. Hey, Andre, what's up? Welcome to the stream. Ilta for you as well. Ilta is actually a good evening in Finnish, so a kind of a short version of good evening. So that's very cool. Anyway, the next question comes from Nabel Elahi, who comes from the United Arab Emirates. Welcome, Nabel, to the stream. Awesome to have you here. And Nabel is starting school this semester at the Arkada University of Applied Sciences, doing his bachelor's in international business. And the question is, Oliver, my university is a Jan Magnus Jansson. My university is in Jan Magnus Jansson, Helsinki. We are a family of 2+2. What is better, staying in Helsinki or close by in cities such as Vantaa? My child also goes into an international school, so we're looking for a place which is budget friendly plus close to the university and school. Secondly, since I'm a student, if my spouse wants to study, will she study free, or will she have to pay a fee? I heard that spouses study for free. I'm not going to say yes or no to the last question, because I actually have never heard of this question before. So please do your due diligence and actually contact the Finnish Immigration Service about this, because I'm not sure. My gut feeling would be that you have to still pay, because being able to pay, study in Finland for free is basically only dependent on your nationality, not whether your spouse is here studying or not. So basically, if you are not a Finnish or European Union national, as a general rule of thumb, you still have to pay for your studies. However, please check this from the Finnish Immigration Service just to make sure, because I've never looked into this specific question. Anyway, basically to your question about the locations, I would actually not go as far as Vantaa, because the commute from there, especially if you don't have a car, is quite long. I would rather for you to, let's see, actually, I can just show you. So what I would recommend you to do is to look for apartments. So let's see, what was the, so that's the Arkada University of Applied Sciences. Arkada University of Applied Sciences. So that's actually, let's see, that's actually pretty close to downtown Helsinki. So downtown Helsinki is here. So for example, the University of Helsinki is here. All the universities located just outside of Helsinki here. It's a 7-minute metro right away from the center of Helsinki. So if you actually study here and then your child is going to the international school in Finland, which is actually here, really close to where I live, if I'm not mistaken about the school, I would not move to Vantaa, which is, here, because that's actually quite far away from you in terms of every single day commuting, especially for your child. It's completely safe for her to commute on her own with public transportation, but the commute times are pretty long. So what I would recommend you to do is to rather look for apartments on the east-west axle, because we have the metro line here, and that makes your commuting both to your school as well as your child's school much faster. Because if you live in Vantaa, you will have to either commute by train or by multiple bus connections, and that's going to take some time. So I would not recommend that. Rather, on this kind of axle, and I would actually recommend you to look for apartments from Espoo, because it's much cheaper than Helsinki, or from northern parts of Helsinki, where it's also a bit cheaper. For example, in Pitäjänmäki, they have really good areas. Leppävaara is a really good family area as well. However, basically any place here in Espoo along the metro line, which basically follows the main main highway here is good, and all really safe. Commuting much easier than from Vantaa. So I would recommend either northern parts of Helsinki or Espoo for you specifically. Really good question though. Cool. If anyone has just joined the stream, first of all, welcome. My name is Oliver, and on the channel we talk about education and early career development in Finland. And during these live streams, I answer your most burning questions about studying, living, and working in Finland. And how we do this during these live streams is that I have a link to a Google form in the description box below. And if you want me to answer your question live, please post your question into the Google form. The reason is that the chat gets really busy at times and it's very difficult for me to follow along and answer every single question. For example, here Kishan is asking me to answer his question. I'm not going to answer your question if you pester me about the questions in the chat. If you have not posted your question into the form, then you just have to wait and hope that I actually get to your question in the chat. I basically don't answer questions from the chat. I sometimes jump in the chat, to discuss some specific topics. But if you want to be sure that I answer your question, then please post your question into the Google form. The reason there is a reason I have that, and the reason is that I can then I have all the questions here on my computer, and I can go through them in the order that they come in, one by one. Regardless, having said this, let's jump just for a second into the chat. For example, Jackie here is saying, hey Oliver, could you please give some tips about writing statements of purpose for Finnish universities? Jackie, that's a very good question. I actually don't know what the statement of purpose is. So you would need to elaborate a bit more on this in the chat. And since I actually don't know what this is, I'm probably also not the correct person to give you advice on this. So that's, kind of unfortunate. Then we have a question from Salome Tirgia, who says, hello, could you please give me some recommendations about universities around Helsinki in the field of business? I want to enter into the university without the GMAT exam. This is pretty much impossible for you. If you want to apply to study business on a master's level, you pretty much have to do the GMATs or the GREs regardless of the university. So I have no recommendations for you. I know that there are some exceptions, but I don't know which they are. Please start going through every single business school in Helsinki area. One by one, go through their application requirements, and you can find the information from there. Again, I don't remember every single school by heart, so unfortunately I cannot really help you, especially live. Let's see. What do we have here? Yeah, actually, Gotham is saying here, Jackie, that Gotham saying that I can share my SOP if you like. Yeah, actually, this is really cool of you, Gotham. So what I would recommend you guys to do is, Jackie, if you for some reason are not a member of our Discord server, I think you are already. And this actually applies to everyone. We have a Discord server where we are building a community of people interested in studying, living, and working in Finland. And in the community, people ask all kinds of questions from everyone else. And I'm usually the one who answers most of the questions, but then there's a lot of people who already have more experience about studying and working in Finland, and people are helping each other out. And we already have almost 700 people, internationals, in the community. And if you're interested in joining the server, there's a link to join in the chat right now. So use the link to join the Discord server. Anyway, let's jump into the next question. Actually, before we jump into the next question, I have to actually do one stupid thing. I actually need to change my battery from my camera, which is almost done. So just a second, I will be right back. There, sorry, I forgot to take my second battery next to myself when I was starting the stream. Anyway, We are back live. So the next question from the forum comes from Alexis, who comes from France. And Alexis is applying to study her master's in material research at the University of Helsinki. Very good choice. And the question is, the University of Helsinki is really well ranked in the Shanghai general rankings, but when I looked a bit deeper, it's in the top 300 in the field of chemistry versus 75th in the general rankings. Do you think it would be an issue for future job offers or PhD degrees? Alex, this is a good question. Please, this is a general advice for everyone in the stream. If you apply to study in Finland, please do not look at the global rankings. They do not tell you even close to the big picture that you want to get. The university rankings have a lot of really big flaws. And if you, for example, want to do your, if you want to work in Finland or even do your PhD in Finland, the university that you go to doesn't actually even matter. We Finns do not care about the university that you go to. We're only interested in your, expertise and experience. Basically the substance. So Alexis, for you, absolutely this will have no impact whatsoever in terms of your potential PhD applications. In fact, the University of Helsinki is the best university in Finland, not only in science, but also in chemistry. So if you want to do your PhD in Finland, or if you want to, work in Finland after your graduation, graduating from the University of Helsinki is going to give you an excellent basis for your career. Again, it's the best science or research university in Finland. Do not, please do not, for heaven's sake, people, do not look blindly at the university rankings. They do not tell you anything, unless you're specifically applying for Ivy League schools. If you're not, then they don't really matter because they don't give you the big picture about, for example, about so many things. I actually talked about this in my video some time ago, and I had a bit of a rant why university rankings are actually a really bad way of choosing your university, unless you're applying for Ivy League schools, but that's a completely different question altogether. Anyway, the next question, Gotham asking, hey Oliver, I'd like to ask a few questions because it's kind of complicated. Is it possible to talk to you on Discord later? Yes, it is. You can either send the questions in the public channels, or you can also send the questions as a DM. But please note that if you send me a DM on Discord, it's going to take quite a while for me to answer you because I'm having a really busy time at this point. So it might take up to a couple of weeks for me to get back to you if you ask me a DM. However, if you post any questions in the Discord server in the public channels, I will get back to you as soon as possible because that helps everyone else at the same time. What's up? Please call me Oliver. No need to call me sir or Mr. or anything like this. In Finland, we like to keep things quite informal, and just call me Oliver. This applies to everyone, just as a general rule of thumb. Srojit asking, hey Oliver, I left for some time because I had a power cut. I wanted to know whether you answered my question. If you posted that into the forum, no, I have not yet gotten to your question from this week, so just sit tight. I will get there. Don't worry about it. And then talking of which, the next question from the forum comes from Tejas again. And the question is, hey Oliver, first of all, thank you for being here. For the question, are there any architecture bachelor's programs in English in Finland? Same for cybersecurity. Also, how is the multimedia job market in the international students, video editors, graphic designers, etc.? Oh, okay, so 3 completely different topics. So first of all, I'm not sure if there are any bachelor's degrees in architecture in English in Finland. The last time that I checked, there were not. But of course, things can change once the application information is changed or updated for the next upcoming application period. However, my understanding is that there are no bachelor's degrees in architecture in Finland in English. Again, I don't know everything about the Finnish educational field, so I might be incorrect. However, I've done quite a bit of research here. I've so far never found any in English language programs like this. Then the second question about cybersecurity. Do know that there might not be English taught bachelor's degrees specifically in cybersecurity. However, there's actually a reason for that if there are none. The reason is that cybersecurity is most often not taught at bachelor's level, even in Finnish. Rather, it's actually a specialization that you most likely take on in your master's level program. If you want to study cybersecurity in English in Finland, apply for a general computer sciences or computer engineering bachelor's degree, and then you can take, for example, cybersecurity courses, individual courses, doing your bachelor's, and then you can apply for a master's in this specific field. However, usually there are not bachelor's programs in this specific fields. Rather, these kind of niche fields are taught at master's level or during individual courses on the bachelor's level. So just take this into account. And then in terms of the multimedia job market, very hard to say. For example, graphic designers, for example, of course, there are always a lot of jobs for designers. However, you have to be pretty good at what you do in order to, punch through and actually get yourself into a company, because there's a lot of people who know graphics design, especially, the basic stuff. The same goes for video editors as well. So just, take that into account as well. Then the next question comes from... the next question comes from Leo from Finland. What's up? Hey, Leo. First of all, hopefully all of your exams went well. Hopefully your summer went well. I'm really hoping to hear about any news from you. So let me know how everything went with the applications. Anyway, Leo is still in high school, applying for his bachelor's in Aalto University in the data sciences program. And the question is, I've become really interested in psychology recently, but looking at the statistics, it doesn't make sense at all. Why is psychology the hardest program in Finland to get into, and why isn't that represented in the salary at all? Especially the Swedish-speaking psychology program at Åbo Academy. No idea. That's a really good question. My guess is that there are specific fields in Finland that are not... they're not big fields, and so it means that there are not that many spots in universities to study those specific fields. For example, to become a teacher in Finland is extremely difficult because it's such a popular degree to apply to when you study in Finnish or for Finnish applicants. However, this is not necessarily reflected in the salaries of teachers in Finland. For anyone listening, Finnish teachers are actually paid really well, but they're not on the same level as investment bankers or anything like this. They are paid good salaries, but if you just look at the amount of people who are applying versus the amount of spots, so there's a huge amount of competition. The salaries do not reflect this. One reason being that Finland has a public education system, so schools are public, so the teachers are paid their salaries from public funds, which means that they're not, as market driven as normal jobs. The same thing might actually also go into the healthcare sector. For example, psychologists. Again, there's necessarily not that of a big demand for psychologists in Finland in general. The numbers are not that big. But because many of the psychologists actually work in the public sector, the salaries are not, that absolutely market driven. Rather, they are driven by the public funding, I would say. However, of course, if you work in the private sector, then your salaries could be higher. But it's very difficult for me to say anything more about this because I have not looked into the question. Hard to say. Anyway, the next question from the form, and actually, let's do this a bit differently. So if you have any questions that you would like me to answer right now, please post your question into the live chat by first writing a Q in front of your question and then post your question into the chat. While I'm waiting for the questions to actually come into the chat, and then I will pick maybe 3-4 good questions from the chat. While waiting, I will answer questions from the form, just while waiting. Anyway, post your question into the chat and have a queue in front of it. I'll just wait for a while for the questions to come in, and then I will, jump into the chat. Anyway, meanwhile, the next question from the form comes from Stephen, who comes from the UK. Stephen is applying to do his bachelor's at Aalto University, studying international business. And the question is, if I have to run my own freelancing business for a... okay, let's actually... Oh, okay, sorry. If I have run my own freelancing business for the last few years, so this is conditional. If I have already, done business as a freelancer, meaning that I have real world experience in the field. Is it still required for me to take the SATs since I have been studying for a few years now? My understanding is that you having previous work experience or having worked as a freelancer does not free you from the SATs in any way, shape, or form. The problem here would be what is defined suitable work experience that would free you from the exams. Or, for example, if you're working as a freelancer, the question is how does that, make you eligible? Not, how does that cover the topics that are asked in the SATs? So I think this is the reason why this will not get you. This will not free you from the SATs. Again, this is a very different type of a question that I've usually gotten. So I have not asked anyone officially about this. However, I'm 99.9% sure that you will have to do the SATs regardless, even if you have experience in business or as a freelancer. Anyway, the next question from the form is going to come from Neha. But before I answer the question from Neha, let's jump actually into the chat to answer a couple of questions here. So, for example, Isanka is asking, hi, what about the University of Applied Sciences for Bachelors of International Business? So what the question is the school good, I guess? If not, please formulate your question in a more specific manner so that I can actually answer it specifically. However, the University of Applied Sciences is perfectly fine. It's a perfectly good school for your bachelor's in international business. However, as I've said before, if you already know that you want to study your master's after you have done your bachelor's, I would recommend that you apply to a university instead. The reason being that if you apply to a University of Applied Sciences, you will be admitted to do a bachelor's degree, unless you specifically apply for a master's. That's a whole different question. Regardless, if you're applying for a bachelor's degree and you know that you want to do a master's as well, if you go through a bachelor's degree in a University of Applied Sciences, you then have to reapply or separately apply to a master's degree. And that's going to take some time because you have to go through the same application process again. The application requirements are different, but it's basically the same process. Excuse me. However, if you apply to a university and you know that you want to do a master's as well, and you're admitted to a bachelor's degree in a university, you are automatically also admitted at the same time to do your master's right after you graduate from your bachelor's. So again, if you apply to a university to do a bachelor's degree in a university in Finland, the system that we have here in place means that if you're admitted, you're also automatically admitted to do your master's, after you have graduated from your bachelor's. However, if you apply for a University of Applied Sciences and you want to afterwards do a master's degree, you have to apply separately, and that's going to take some time. So, just take this into account. However, if you just want to do your bachelor's, SEAMK is perfectly a good school for the topic. Then the next question from the chat comes from Martinos Terapontos. And the question is, best master degree in economics in Finland. Aalto University definitely is the best university for economics in Finland for a master's. Yeah, hands-on Aalto University. It's also the institution that I went to, my alma mater. It's also as I mentioned, the best. They have the best business school in Finland, no question asked. Architect of Lily Pond's asking, PhD in Finland, is it free or is there any kind of a... Okay, let's take this again. PhDs in Finland, are they free in any available language? PhDs in Finland are done in English and they are free of charge. There are no tuition fees in Finland for PhD studies. In fact, PhD studies are actually considered work. They're paid work. However, the funding for the PhD is done in a very particular way, and you basically need to apply for funding. So the university does not fund your research, but rather you need to... Most of the time, the university doesn't fund your research. There are some exceptions. However, most of the time you have to apply for the funding yourself, and there's a specific procedure for this. And there are specific third parties that fund academic research in Finland. However, as I mentioned, PhDs in Finland do not have any tuition fees. Then we have a question from Onurkan Yildiz. Can you tell us some general words or things about requirements of grades and the SATs for Aalto and Lappeenranta universities? I know they won't be 100% accurate, but just to get an idea for myself and others too. No, I simply cannot, because I have absolutely no idea. I have not seen any kind of statistics on this, so I cannot give you any kind of numbers because those would be misleading by default. So, sorry, I simply cannot, in good conscience, give you any numbers because I have no guaranteed way of knowing what they are. So I would simply be lying to you if I told you or gave you some numbers. So I will not do it. Unfortunately, I cannot. Then Surjit asking, do we need the SATs or IELTS for Universities of Applied Sciences? Please check the University of Applied Sciences website for this. It's always dependent on the school as well as the program that you're applying to. For example, if you apply to Metropolia University of Applied Sciences to study, let's say, a bachelor's in business, that program is going to have different application requirements than if you apply to Metropolia, so the same school, but to study a bachelor's in nursing. So please check the requirements from the university website. It's always dependent on the school as well as on the program that you're applying to. So Yarjuna Rohmat saying, I heard that Aalto University doesn't charge tuition fees for international students that already have a continuous residence permit. Do you know if that's true or not? You have to have a certain type of a residence. So first of all, this if this is true, this applies to every single university in Finland. It's not just only Aalto University. There are very specific government set rules in Finland for tuition fees. Who needs to pay them and who do not. So there is a specific listing of residence permits that will allow you to study in Finland for free. However, for example, some people ask me the question, okay, if I come to study in Finland and I pay for my, first or 2 years of tuition, and then I apply for a permanent residency, which you cannot do after 2 years, can I then not pay tuition? No, that's not how it works. You need to already have a certain residence permit in Finland not to pay tuition in Finnish universities. Jari Juna, I don't remember whether a continuous residence permit is one of these and what the specific category is. So what I would recommend you to do is to actually go and check the actual code that Aalto University gives on their website. I know that they give the code, or it's like AB, something like this, or P, whatever, residence permit type something. And then contact the Finnish Immigration Service and ask them whether or not this actually gives you the eligibility to study in Finland for free, because I don't remember for sure. So I hope that this helps you. I'm sorry I don't have a direct answer to this question. Then we have a shadow dancer asking, do you think it'll be very hard to adapt to the climate in Finland if you come from, say, a Mediterranean country? No, I don't think so. It's going to take some time that you get it takes some time to get accustomed to it, especially if you come from the coast. However, if you for example come from Greece, from the mountainous areas, no problem at all, because you guys have snow there as well. Of course, the climate is still going to be quite a bit different, but I would say that it takes maybe a year. It maybe takes a year, so basically one full cycle of seasons for you to get the hang of it, and then maybe another year for you to be completely accustomed to it, so that you have no issues at all. So yes, some getting used to, but it's not going to be a massive process. Then Suvarna asking, since the acceptance rate for Finnish universities are usually really low, what are the general tips to stand out from the crowd? That depends on the level of degree that you're applying to, and again the requirements that the university has. If you apply for a bachelor's, usually the bachelor's degree admissions are defined based on SATs or some other type of aptitude tests, your language proficiency tests, as well as your high school grades. So you just need to do really well with those. That's basically it. However, if you apply for masters, usually the universities also if you apply for a master's level degree, usually the application process also has a motivation letter as well as an interview. Some do, some don't. And you have to do really well with those as well. And my biggest tip for motivation letters for universities in Finland is try not to just tell what is so great about you. You know, don't just try to sell yourself as this perfect person, because we are going to see through, or the people who are reading your motivation letter, they're going to see through that, and they get this kind of standard, I'm so perfect, choose me, I'm the best candidate. They see all this all the time. Rather, try to put yourself into the shoes of the person who is reading your motivation letter and try to think like them. And basically what I gather is that they are thinking, we want to get the best possible students to our university who are going to do really well in our university, who are going to take us higher in university rankings, who are going to stay in Finland, get a really good career here, contribute into the Finnish society, and generally be able to utilize their degree in Finland. So if you think about this, then if you think about this, about the motivation letter from this perspective, then the question is, okay, then the question that you should be thinking about, and which you should also answer in your motivation letter, is why do you want to study in Finland, especially if you come from from across the world. Why do you want to study in that specific school? What about that school makes you interested in it? What makes you interested in that specific topic and the program that they have? What kind of career aspirations do you have, and specifically in Finland? And what kind of overall impact are you going to bring into Finland in general? So try to create and write a story about what kind of an impact are you actually going to bring into the university, as well as the entire Finnish ecosystem. And I think that this would be the best way for you to go. Do universities in Finland have soccer fields? No, Finnish universities do not have any kind of sports facilities unless they are very specifically, sports oriented. If this question is about university sports or college sports, we do not have college sports in Finland, or all sports facilities are either provided by the city or by, for example, student organizations. However, of course, no student organization is going to be able to buy a soccer field. So everything that they do are going to be done, all the games that they play are done in public soccer fields that are managed by the city, and then you can, for example, rent them for an X amount of hours. Do you have any recommendations for a university for cybersecurity? Aalto University, definitely. Then let's see, a couple of other questions here. Lizard Tails asking, hi, I'm new to your channel. First of all, welcome. Are you native Finnish or are you from another country? I am actually from Finland. I am a native Finnish person, born and bred in the capital region. So yes, I am. Cool. All right, let's jump back into the forum, because we have a bunch of questions still unanswered there. The first question from the forum comes from Neha from India. Neha is also a regular on the channel, which is highly appreciated. Neha is starting school this semester at Aalto University, doing her master's in automation and electrical engineering, which is really cool. And the question is, hi Oliver, I'm an incoming master student at Aalto University joining this September. Awesome. Welcome to Finland whenever you're coming here. A couple of questions here. First, I understand that we have to apply for an HSL card. It's a public transportation ticket in the capital region. Apply for that card to get student discounts on public transportation and also access to some spaces at Aalto University. That is correct. Can we avail student discounts only after we have registered to the DVV, or is there any other options available? Because I have heard the registration takes up to 6 weeks. So no, so you actually don't have to be registered to DVV to actually utilize the student discounts. Rather, what you need to have is you have to have registered as an active student at the university, and then when you come to Finland, you actually have to get a paper from the university. I think university, is it student offices, student service offices, where you actually sign the paper, and they will also stamp it saying that you are a student here, and then you take that paper to the HSL or the local public authorities. There's a couple of offices around Helsinki, and then you will buy a HSL card, which is a public transportation card, and then they will register your student status at that office. And then every time you update the card or buy seasonal tickets, so that's for X amount of weeks at a time, then you will get the student discount automatically on any kind of payment terminal that you have for the public transit tickets. So no, you don't need to register yourself for the DVV. That would be simply stupid, because as you mentioned, the process takes quite a while. All right, so the next question comes from Shivan, who comes from India, and Shivan has not yet decided whether or not he wants to study in Finland, but is interested in studying a master's in geosciences and earth sciences at the University of Helsinki. Very nice. Shadow Dancer, you're most welcome. Hopefully that gave you some context. The same to you, Jarjuna, as well. By the way, I hope that I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Anyway, the question from Shivam is, I wanted to apply for master's program in geology and geophysics, so please guide me through the process if possible. I will guide you through the process, but I will not do it here. I will actually ask you to go to my channel and start going through these videos in this playlist. University admission in Finland, I go through almost every single step that you need to take in order to apply to any kind of a master's degree in Finland. So please binge watch all of these videos. And if you have any questions left after that, please post any questions into any of the comment sections in these videos and I will help you out. However, I have maybe like 2 hours worth of material here already in this video, so please go through these first, because there's absolutely no way for me to explain the entire process here live, because first of all, you need to know, I would need to show you certain websites, I would need to show you, step-by-step processes, all of which I go through in those videos. So please check those videos out. You will get the answer to most of your questions. It's now saying, bad batch. To be honest, I actually haven't watched all the episodes. I've just watched some summaries of the episodes. I'm really torn between getting Disney Plus or not, because I really don't want to pay for it, and I never want to pirate anything. But I've been watching all of the summaries and spoilers and everything about Bad Batch. It's awesome. Really, really. Dave Filoni, thank you. Thank you. All Star Wars fans around the globe, thank you so much. He's the god of Star Wars. Just as a side note. Anyway, I need to grab some water from my trusty bottle. Meanwhile, if you actually are getting some value out of the stream, or anything that I do on the channel in general, I would really love if you could gently tap the like button. We're actually already over our goal, so 50 likes for the stream. It would be awesome to get somewhere around 60 or 70 likes before we end the stream, so that would be highly appreciated. Now some water and then to the next question. Awesome. Anyway, the next question comes from Sasha, who comes from Russia, and Sasha is a regular on the channel, which I do appreciate, and she's already in Finland, which is awesome, and she's studying at the University of Eastern Finland, specifically the field of climate change or climate sciences. And the question is, I can work 20 hours a week max because I hold a student residence permit. Soon I'll start my thesis project full-time, contract for 5 months. Awesome, that's actually very good. Congratulations on actually, getting a thesis project. That is actually pretty rare. Hopefully it's paid, and I'll be rewarded money after I deliver it. Very good, very nice, well done. So I found a part-time job from my professional field and I want to apply. Can I have 37 hours a week thesis training and a 20 hours part-time job at the same time? What authorities will be informed about my case? I have time and interest in both thesis project and the part-time job, as they both are in my professional science field. I also have also have time for online courses that I have left to accomplish. Thanks for the info. Okay, so first of all, Sasha, actually you can work 25 hours per week on average, not 20 hours a week. So actually, if you go to the the website of the Finnish Immigration Service, and studying in Finland, and then you go down to tuition fees, and here if you go down and you can see you can see the heading here. You are allowed to work in Finland if the work is related to your studies. You may only work for an average of 25 hours per week during the academic terms. So while the classes are given, you're actually allowed to work 25 hours per week on average, not 20. So you can actually work 5 more hours than you were aware of. So just take that into account. Then in the case of your question, so if you have a full-time thesis project, please be very mindful about how much work you're taking on the side, because it can get really stressful, and I would be very careful about that, because I personally burnt out really badly once and almost really badly a second time. So, and it's not nice. So please, please, please be very careful and mindful about the hours that you take. However, my understanding is that you should be able to work at the same time as you have, even while you're doing your thesis. However, you still have to stay to the hourly limits of 25 hours per week on average. Yeah, so absolutely, you can. You don't have to inform any authorities about this. Rather, when you sign a job contract with the company that is offering you the job, they will pay the taxes or submit your taxes, as well as submit your work hours to the authorities, and the authorities will then get them automatically. Just make sure that you stay within the 25-hour limit per week on average, and you should be fine. So you don't have to inform any authorities yourself. Everything is done automatically. All right, next question comes from Arsh Pervez, who comes from India, and Arsh has not yet decided whether or not he wants to study in Finland, but is interested in a master's in medicine, and specifically in surgery. And the question is, what is the path to Finland as a doctor, or to do a post-graduation in medicine and surgery in Finland? What are the prospects? So if you want to study to become a medical doctor in Finland, you have to do that in Finnish. That's the only way for you to do it. If you want to do some kind of a post-graduation in medicine, that might be a different case. However, I have not looked into this, because the actual education to become a doctor is pretty complicated, and I simply haven't had the time to actually get familiar with it. However, again, if you want to study to become a medical doctor in Finland, you cannot do that as of now in English. That's simply the way it is. It's pretty simple. However, if you want to, look at postgraduate opportunities, for example, to specialize, I would recommend that you contact the University of Helsinki School of Medicine about this specifically, and ask all the specific questions from them, because they will be able to give you the answers while I am not. Anyway, the next question comes from Volkan Kansu, who comes from Turkey, and Volkan has not yet decided whether or not he wants to study in Finland, but is interested in doing his master's in business administration at the Lappeenranta University. And the question is, would it be easy to find a job in Finland as a foreigner who is interested in environmental studies during and after completing a master's program? Besides, I'm going to be an Erasmus exchange student next semester in Lut. So environmental studies comprises a huge amount of different fields. So it's of course difficult to give you a kind of a, it's difficult to give you a specific answer here, because this is such a wide field and topic. However, Finland is one of the leading nations in the world in many environmental science fields. For example, bioproducts is one, and many different bio-based R&D companies are some of the leading companies in the world that are residing in Finland. So of course there are a lot of opportunities, but I would need to know more specifics about what is your speciality, what are you actually studying, again, because environmental studies covers so many topics. So I cannot give you a specific answer here, because I would most likely go pretty wrong about it without having extra information. Then the next question from the forum comes from Albert, who comes from India. And the question from Albert is, Hi Oliver, could you please give me some tips about writing a statement of purpose for Finnish universities? I actually already covered this in the chat, so I cannot, because I actually don't know what the statement of purpose is. And this is something that I have never had to write on my own. The next question comes from Tejas, again from India. There's a couple of questions here. Number one, are there any good universities that offer bachelors in architecture? Oh, never mind. I actually answered that as well. Any tips for good universities offering cybersecurity? Aalto University. And then some tips on learning Finnish. I actually have a couple of videos already on my channel where I list out multiple free resources for you to learn Finnish, and I would actually start with those. Then after you come to Finland, the best way for you to learn Finnish when you're here is actually at the university, because you can actually include your Finnish language studies into your degree. So you can actually get credits for studying Finnish, as well as you of course have the best university or language teachers in the entire world, as well as you have a class full of students who are in the same situation as you are, and you will have a lot of peer-to-peer support, in your journey to learn Finnish. So that's my number one tip. There are no minimum required scores for scholarships. Again, there's no minimum scores. These are not public. Universities do not publicize the minimum scores. Plus, there are also other variables that are taken into account when you apply for a scholarship. So there's no point of answering this question because there's no information about this, and the SATs are not the only thing that is taken into account. Then the next question from the forum comes from Fakir Raika, who comes from India again. And the question is, what about the weather? What about the weather? During the winter, we have snow. During autumn, we have snow melting. During the summer, we have very nice and warm, not that many storms or anything like this. We don't have any natural disasters. During the summer, the temperature can go from anywhere from 10 degrees Celsius to 30 plus. During the winter, it can go from anywhere from 0 to minus 30. What about the weather? Please ask more specific questions. It is a wide topic. I would be talking about this for hours. Anyway, the next question comes from Leo, again from Finland. And the question is, what is the admission statistics for all the university bachelor's programs? And when are they published? They do have some statistics about the previous year. Simply just Google Aalto University statistics. Again, as an example, here, Aalto University statistics, and open statistics. And from here, you can then see bachelor's admission statistics. For example, how many people applied, how many people were admitted. The same here as well, master's as well. And some of these might have something about SATs or something. I'm not sure. I haven't looked them for a while. Let's actually see super quickly. All right, so how many applicants, how many accepted, acceptance rate, minimum acceptance scores based on SATs. Okay, so they actually have minimum scores for the SATs from last year, which is 1450. Then some other stuff. So, okay, so Aalto University actually has some statistics about this. Do know that not every university has these kind of statistics, so just take that into account. All right, the next question comes from Srojit, and Srojit is a regular on the channel. And the question is, however, I wanted to know whether I must work for 2 years after finishing my bachelor's in a University of Applied Sciences, I guess, in order to apply for a master's, or can we skip that? Also wanted to know if I could stay with my friend in an apartment in Oulu who would travel with me from my place to Finland. And last, what are the best career options after doing a bachelor's and master's in business in Finland? Okay, let's start with the last question. This is an impossible question for me to answer because business covers so many different topics. So if I kind of give you the general answer here, finance and management consultancy are the most popular, highly paid career trajectories. However, if you study, you have to study specific fields or specific specializations under the umbrella of business in order to do well as a management consultant or as a to work in finance in general. I was trying to find another word for that. However, if you're interested in finance, then apply for a degree in finance. If you're interested in economics, apply for a program in economics. If you're interested in marketing, you can do extremely well in marketing as well. If you want to study management and you want to become a manager or a management consultant, study management. Study whatever you are really interested in, because that means that you will become really good at that, and then people want to pay for your services. It doesn't matter what you study. If you suck what you do, no one wants to pay for your skills anyways. So don't think about the best career options. There are none. You can do really well in anything as long as you're really good at what you do. So this is kind of my general answer every time anyone asks this kind of a question. Then, can you stay with your friend in their apartment in Oulu? No, you actually cannot. This is actually a super important question. And there was actually someone in the community in the Discord channel who actually sent me a message that they're in kind of a trouble because they actually were living in a one-room apartment with their friend, and only their friend had signed the rental agreement or tenant agreement, and that's not allowed. In Finland, you cannot live with your friend unless you also sign a tenant agreement, and that means that you also have to pay rent. You cannot just move in with someone else and split the rent. That is most often a breach of the tenant agreement, and that allows the landlord to actually kick you out immediately. And you will most likely you will also lose your security deposit as well. So please do not go and live with your friend unless you have separate tenant agreements, especially not if it's a one-room apartment. That's not how we do things in Finland. We don't we don't have multiple people living in one-room apartments, especially if they're student apartments. That's not how we do. That's not how it works. I know that a lot of international students like to or want to save money by splitting the rent with someone else, but that risks you that actually risks you getting kicked out from the apartment if the landlord finds out. That's against the rules. That's a breach of most of the tenant agreements. You have to have signed a tenant or a rental agreement yourself in order to be allowed to live in any kind of an apartment. Of course, if you live in a family apartment, then you would sign the same paper together. However, this would not be the case because you are two friends. So get separate apartments or separate tenant agreements. And then second, if you want to study a master's degree after you have done a bachelor's in a University of Applied Sciences, you have to work for 2 years before you can apply for a master's in a University of Applied Sciences. However, if you want to apply for a university, if you want to apply for a master's in a university, you don't have to wait for 2 years. However, you still have to apply separately. So if you already now know that you want to do a master's as well, I recommend that you apply to a university instead, because you do not have to apply separately, but rather, as I mentioned like 5 times already during the stream, if in Finland you are admitted to do a bachelor's at a university, you're automatically also admitted to continue directly into your master's degree studies after you have completed your bachelor's. There's no separate application process. It's just, you send one form into the university saying, hey, I want to continue my studies. They say, okay, go ahead. And then you can go and sit in the master's courses. However, if you study a bachelor's in a University of Applied Sciences, and then you want to study a master's afterwards, you have to go through the same application process as you would, when you apply for a bachelor's. So just take that into account. Hey, Achilles, what's up? Welcome to the stream. Don't worry about it. You haven't missed that much. Well, just 2 hours, but who's counting? I'm still going to be here for a while, so just, sit tight, put your questions in the forums, and I will get to you as soon as possible. You are most welcome, Tehas. Hopefully that gave you some context around the topic. And your wealth allies. Kiitos paljon, Oliver. Mitä kuuluu? I'm actually doing quite well. Thank you very much for asking. Hopefully you're doing good as well. And you're welcome as well. Then the next question from the forum comes from Leo from Finland. And the question is, can you minor in psychology at, for example, Helsinki University while studying at Aalto or something similar? Yes, Leo, there is a system for that, but I actually cannot explain how that works in the stream because I've never done it myself. But again, Leo, I've offered this to you before. If you want to contact me on LinkedIn, I can try to give you some pointers about this. So the answer is yes and no. There are some limitations to that. However, there is a way for you to do some studies from another university as well. However, there is a process for that. So you just cannot go there. You need to apply for the courses separately. But yeah, in general, yes, you can. Let's see. Then the next question from the forum comes from Armand, who comes from Kazakhstan. Darn it. The amount of consonants, it's just way too much. Kazakhstan. And Armand is still in high school, but is interested in doing a bachelor's in sustainable urban development at Aalto University or the University of Tampere, both great schools. And the question is, hey Oliver, how hard is it really to get into Tampere or Aalto universities? Okay, so actually I answered these questions already. Aalto University is the best university in Finland in the fields of business, technology, and arts and design, and it's not easy to get in. The University of Tampere is also a great school, but it's somewhat easier to get in there, simply statistically speaking, than to Aalto University. However, of course, it's always dependent on you and your personal background, educational background, your previous GPA, and all the other application requirements. So it's difficult to say, specifically how difficult it is to get in. However, what I can say is that Aalto University is one of the two best universities in the entire country. So it's not easy to get there in general. Then the next question is from Gerson, who comes from the Philippines, and he is applying to a bachelor's in information technology at the Metropolia University of Applied Sciences, great school. And the next question, or the question is Metropolia University a good school for information technology student? Yes, it is a good school if you want to do just a bachelor's degree. However, if you want to do a master's as well, do not apply to a University of Applied Sciences, rather apply to a university, because then you will be admitted to a bachelor's plus a master's at the same time. However, if you just want to do your bachelor's, Metropolia is a great school for that. Then the next question comes from Katie from Peru, and Katie is applying to Aalto University as well as the Hanken School of Economics at doing her master's in business and finances, both excellent schools. And the question is, do you think it's possible to get a scholarship for a master's degree if I am 30 years old? Your your age doesn't have anything to do whatsoever with your opportunity or your chances of getting admitted or your chances of being granted a scholarship. Period. Your age doesn't matter. That's it. Zip. Doesn't matter. Yeah, there you go. Anyway, the next question comes from Jakob. I'm Jacob, but Germany, you're from Germany, so that would be Jakob or Jakob. I think Jakob would be more appropriate in German, I think. Let me know if I'm correct. And Jakob is coming to Finland for work, not for school, specifically in the field of business. And the question is, hey Oliver, I just started working in the auditing team for KPMG in Germany. Awesome. I would like to relocate to Finland eventually. I don't like the city of Helsinki. So the question is, are there KPMG offices in other big cities like Tampere or Turku, and do you think they hire internationals? I'm not sure if English will be enough. Most of the English-speaking clients are probably based in Helsinki, so should I hone my Finnish skills? No, absolutely, you do not need Finnish in order to work for KPMG or any of the big consultant companies in Finland. In fact, actually, Finland sometimes has had a huge demand for specifically German-speaking talent, and many of the consultant companies, for example, KPMG, do have an internal rotational system where they actually get their people from, for example, Munich or Berlin to Finland to work for X amount of time or permanently, for example. And if you don't want to come to Helsinki, there are other KPMG offices around Finland. I just don't remember where. But I think that's a very easy thing to just Google. Or, for example, what I would recommend you to do specifically is to contact your local HR manager at your specific offices in Germany and ask them what kind of an internal rotational system or internal transfer system they have, how it works, and to what kind of offices in Finland you could actually apply for. And they will have a specific company-wide process for that. So make sure to go through the official routes, for example, by discussing this with your local HR manager, or there might be some other person who is specifically in charge of the internal transfers between countries. If not, if there is no one there, then what I would recommend you to do is to ask your local HR manager, or for example HR someone, to if they could get you the contact information for the Finnish branches in Helsinki and other cities and contact them directly. That would be my second advice. Then let's see. This is actually an interesting question. I'll answer this super quickly from the chat. So Rix14 asking, what are the top universities for MBAs in Finland? There are no top universities in Finland for MBAs. The reason is that we actually don't do MBAs that much in Finland. If you want to do a master's level degree in business in Finland, you should apply for a master's degree, master's in science in business, so MSc, not an MBA. MBAs in Finland are considered as supplementary degrees that are done by institutions that are run by universities. For example, Aalto University does have a separate organization called Aalto University Executive Education, so Aalto EE, and they actually teach MBAs for experienced professionals. However, if you have a bachelor's degree and you want to do a master's level or graduate level degree, please do not apply for an MBA in Finland. That's not the normal way for you to get a master's level degree in Finland. Again, MBAs are mostly in Finland done only by experienced professionals who want to get a supplementary degree or deepen their skills in business and management. And everyone else who, for example, come directly from high school or who come from previous bachelor's degrees, they actually go and do a master's in business, so MSc. So this is a common misconception that people have because the terminology is a bit different in Finland. So just take that into account. And for master's degrees in business, Aalto University is the best one, hands down. Hands off, hands down. I think hands down. Anyway. The next question from the forum comes from Gotham. Gotham, who comes from India, starting school this semester at Aalto University, doing his master's in automation and electrical engineering again. And the question is, hi Oliver, I will still be able to attend the university this year. Awesome. Or is it I will not be able to attend? Not sure. But I will have to do it online this semester and move to Finland next semester. Damn. Okay. Got it. Or do I have an option to defer this semester and start from the next semester? Also, I have an option to defer this year. I spoke to the planning officer, person X, up from Aalto. Which option is the best? Depends on you, but my recommendation would be to do this semester online this year. This semester, so the autumn semester online, and then come to Finland starting January. Deferring a full year is just, pushing this, forward too much, especially considering that I think a lot of people had to defer the entire year if they have applied last year. So I would recommend doing the first semester online because many of the studies in Finland, even if you're here, are still going to be done online this semester because of the current situation. So you don't really lose that much. But then in January, if you are able to come to Finland physically, you can then join everyone else at the campus as normal. Aalto University. Aalto University is the best school. That's pretty simple. Anyway, the next question from the forum, and again reminding everyone, for example, Life in Common Man, reminding everyone, I answer questions from the Google form that I have linked in the description box below. Asking me to reply to a question in the chat is not going to help you. It's mostly just doing bad for you. And, this doesn't have to do with you, but if you start spamming the same question in the chat, you will just be kicked out of the stream. So just take that into account. If you want to get your question answered, post your question into the Google form. However, just as a note, we have already gone for 2 hours and there's still questions left in the form. So if you post your question into the form right now, it might be that I will answer your question next week because I can't go for hours and hours and on end. Anyway, the next question from the forum comes from Kalem Ahmad, who comes from Pakistan, and he's applying to do a master's in data analytics. The school is not certain. And the question is, I have done my ACCA certificates from the UK Association for Chartered Certificate Accountants, and I have 6 years of experience in finance. Now I want to get admitted in a master's in data analytics in Finland, but I'm not sure if I will get admission in master's on the basis of my certification and if it's equivalent to a bachelor's. Please guide me to the best possible way. So if you do not have a bachelor's degree in accounting or in business, then you have to check whether or not the ACCA certificate from the UK would make you eligible to apply for a master's program in the UK. This is usually how the eligibility is defined. If you're not sure, please contact the universities that you're interested in directly. For example, for you in terms of business studies, I would recommend Aalto University because it's the best school for business, a master's in business. In this case, I would recommend that you contact Aalto University Admission Services with an email. The email address is admissions, so that's plural, admissions@aalto.fi. Please contact them because I don't know whether this certificate makes you eligible to apply for a master's in Finland. I simply don't know. I haven't looked into it, and I'm not able to do it right now because that would take a long time. So please contact the universities directly. I would recommend that you start with Aalto University. If they say yes, it makes you eligible, that would mean that it makes you eligible to apply to any university in Finland, basically. Then the next question from the form comes from an anonymous, and she comes from outer space, which is awesome. And she's also interested in a master's in engineering. And the question is, how many scholarships does Aalto University offer for each program? The number is not public, so I have no idea. There is no public number about this. Then the next question comes from Juan Vasquez, who is also a regular on the channel. Welcome to the stream, Juan. And Juan is from Mexico. And he's starting school this semester at the University of Oulu, which is very nice, doing his master's in computer sciences and engineering. Very good. And the question is, I am now in Oulu. Awesome. Ready to start classes next week. Just wanted to thank you for your videos. Juan, you're most welcome. Welcome to Finland. I hope that you're going to enjoy. I hope that, and I'm certain that you're going to enjoy your studies in Oulu. Excuse me. The University of Oulu is awesome, and you're going to enjoy, or you're going to experience a real winter in Oulu because you're going to have a lot of snow. I'm sure that you're going to have a lot of fun during the winter. Go skiing with your fellow classmates in the skiing centers that we have in northern Finland. Have a lot of fun. Make sure to just experience the student, culture at the University of Oulu, which is awesome. Be as active in the local student organizations and communities as possible, and you're going to have a blast during your studies. Awesome. Yeah, that's the first outer space citizen that I've ever met. I'm not sure if Elon Musk, is really from outer space, but sometimes it seems that he is. But yeah, verified outer space citizen in the chat in the stream. That is awesome. Anyway, the next question actually comes from the architect of Lily Ponds, who comes from Poland, and she has not yet decided whether or not she wants to study in Finland, but saying that all the schools look interesting, but I have not checked oceanography. Damn it. Oceanography. Shit. Sorry. Oceanography. Oceanography. Oceanographics, I think. Oceanographic. The availability of oceanographics in Finnish universities. Actually, I don't know that either. Anyway, she's interested in a master's in oceanographics. And the question is, I'd like to study in Finland for free as a EU citizen. That is very much possible. What do I need? Also, I need a B2 certificate to go to Finland with Erasmus, right? About the Erasmus, I actually don't know. So just please contact the universities themselves about this. Erasmus programs is something that I haven't looked into that much because they are actually pretty complicated in general. So if you want to study for free in Finland as a US citizen, as a EU citizen, there's nothing for you that you need to do. You simply need to, when you apply to study in Finland, in the application form, you just need to tick I am a European Union citizen, and you need to have a copy of your passport. That's enough. Then, on top of that, just apply as usual, and that's everything. And again, you do not have to pay any tuition fees. Actually, a really good point here. Your Wealth Ally saying, I really love Finland because of the gender equality. I'm going to be there by January 2022 for my bachelor's in healthcare in nursing in Tampere University. That's, first of all, really cool to hear. I really hope that you're going to enjoy yourself in Finland. And I think that, you know, the gender equality and equality in general is a really good point. Finland is, again, according to the UN, one of the most equal countries in the world, if not the most equal country in the world. So that's absolutely true. Then the next question comes from Thi Wu, who comes from Vietnam. And Thi Wu, who, by the way, I hope that I pronounced your name correctly, is still in high school, but he's interested in doing his bachelor's in data sciences at Aalto University or Tampere University. Very nice. And the question is, are there any requirements in order to continue the 100% scholarship from Aalto University? Does the scholarship cover for 5 years if I attend the 3+2 year course? So basically 3 years bachelor's plus 2 years in master's. First of all, the second question, yes, the scholarships in Finland, if you get them in your bachelor's, they cover your entire studies, so bachelor's plus master's. If not, this will be specifically defined in the scholarship information on the website. But for Aalto University, yes, they cover the entire studies, so 5 years. Then in terms of continuing the 100% scholarship, so basically if you get it for the first year, you simply have to get enough credits each year. I think it's 45 credits at minimum in order for them to continue your scholarship throughout the studies. However, also note that you need to get at minimum 45 credits also to keep your residence permit in Finland. So if you don't get the 45 credits at minimum, you're screwed anyways. Do note that 60 credits ECTS is a standard pace in Finland in universities. So doing less than that means that you're actually progressing at a very slow pace. So yeah, but yeah, there's no GPA requirements for you to continue the scholarship after you have received it. Rather, you need to be able to progress with your studies as is agreed in your personal study plan. No, everyone here is actually not a foreigner. There's every once in a while there actually are Finnish nationals here, as well as I'm actually a Finnish national myself. I was born and raised in Finland, so I'm a Finnish born and Finnish citizen as well. I've lived in the Helsinki capital region or the Finnish capital region the entirety of my life. Welcome to the stream. Anyway, the next question comes from Alang, who comes from Cameroon again. And the question is there any age limits for a bachelor's in IT or any other programs? No. In Finland, when you apply to study at a university or University of Applied Sciences, no matter what the level is, bachelor's, master's, or PhD, there are no age restrictions. Then the next question comes from Kabil Kumar, who comes from India. And Kabil is coming to Finland for work, not for school. And the question is, hi, sorry for the spam. The other guy has been overdoing my question, really sorry. My question is, I have 8 years of experience in operations management. Is there any third-party or trusted websites where I can apply for jobs in Finland? Yes, there indeed are. And what I would recommend you to do is, instead of me going through all of them right here, which I cannot do, is I would recommend that you go to my channel and check out this playlist here that I have, working in Finland as an international student. Don't worry, this also applies for expats as well, not only for students. I mostly target for students, so that's why it's titled like this. And actually here, the first video here is top 10 employers for international students and graduates as well as expats in Finland. So check out this video because there's a bunch of really interesting companies that you could apply to work for as well. Then I have multiple videos about how to find part-time jobs, full-time jobs as well. Again, doesn't only apply for students. And then, for example, I have a video about the best recruitment services as well as the best job portals or job application sites. Please go through these videos. All of the information that I give there is also valid for you as well. And I'm sure that that's going to get you quite far with your job application process. Yeah, awesome. Let's play a game. Let's guess what color shirt he wears next. I think this applies that I don't really wear that many color shirts. It's gray, black, or blue. Yeah, so that's your your options are very limited, and however, your chances are also very good to get it correct. That is very true. At the office here, I actually usually wear the kind of the same shirts because I work here alone, so I don't have to impress anyone. So I do have other clothes as well. Don't worry about it. Kinda, not that much, but I do. I do. I promise I do. Uh, Probably, yeah. Willow's saying probably gray. Yeah, it's usually gray. So that's quite probable. That's that's quite likely. Water, water. Yeah, I don't really do well with colors. So that's black, gray, or blue. That's the default. Oliver's thumbnail look like he's struggling. Yeah, sometimes I am. Really, it's not acting. It's real. Really, how I look like on camera. Anyway, moving on. The next question comes from Irene. 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 How do I pronounce your name? Irenr. Irene. Sorry, I do butcher your name. I apologize. Having this kind of R after N or something is pretty difficult, especially if there's any vowels after it. Anyway, Irene comes from the Philippines, and she is starting school this semester at the TAMK University of Applied Sciences. Awesome, doing her bachelor's in nursing. And the question is, hi, I would like to ask, when is the best time to move to Finland? In Finland, when my studies will start this coming January in 2022. And is Tampere a nice place? Yes, Tampere is actually a very nice city. I've been there multiple times. I've never lived there myself, but for example, Alexi himself, if you know him from YouTube, he actually went to school in Tampere and he liked it very, very much. If you start your studies in January in 2022, I recommend that you come early December. Why early December? Is that if you come late December, everyone is going to be on their Christmas holidays and the country is completely still and nothing really happens. So I really recommend that if you want to get a good start for your live life in Finland, if you come for the January intake, come early January. First of all, you will get everything sorted out. You will have enough time before your school starts, and you actually get to enjoy the first Finnish Christmas as well as a New Year's in Finland as well, which is really cool. Of course, if you don't know anyone here, spending a Finnish Christmas might not be possible. However, I would communicate with, for example, your student tutor if there is anyone who you could spend the first Christmas with, because that would be very, very cool. But yeah, so I would say early or mid December at latest, because if you come really late in December, then everyone is going to be on their holidays, and you might have some issues getting some things done early enough. Decio Ferrara saying more lives like this, please. I'm actually doing this every single Thursday. This actually take quite a bit of time from my day, so I actually cannot do these more often than once per week. But I usually try to go for 2.5, 3 hours per week, so that I can answer as many questions as possible during the entire live stream. So absolutely, thanks so much for the kind of feedback. I will keep doing this, absolutely, and hopefully I will be in the future also able to invite some guests to the streams. For example, Alexi, we have been talking about doing guest streams where he comes to my streams and I go to his as well. However, that's still not technically possible. We have a couple of things to sort out before I can actually invite him to the live streams. Anyway, the next question from the forum comes from Martinos, who comes from Cyprus, which is awesome. And Martinos is applying to do his master's in economics at the Aalto University or Hanken School of Economics or the University of Helsinki. Very good. And the question is, which university in Finland offers the best masters in economics? Depends a bit on what kind of an approach you want to take. So the University of Helsinki does have a master's in economics. However, they don't have a faculty in business. So their master's of economics is actually under the Faculty of Social Sciences, and it's very theoretical. So if you want to have a more practical and kind of business-oriented approach, Aalto University or Hanken School of Economics are your best options. However, my personal opinion, and of course I'm biased here because I went to Aalto, Aalto University is the best one, also based on rankings. However, Hanken School of Economics is also an excellent school. And in fact, many of the higher level managers in Finland, in many of the publicly traded companies, actually have their degrees from Hanken. So it's a very famous and very well decorated school, business school in Finland. So Aalto University, Hanken School of Economics, both are excellent. And of course, the University of Helsinki also, but do take into account that their master's in economics is a bit more theoretical, so it's a bit more academically oriented, to be exact. So it might not be for you if you want to have a more business practical oriented approach. Regardless, the University of Helsinki is also an excellent school. It's the best university in Finland. It's the number one research university in Finland, but it just means that the approach that they have is a bit different. Then the next question comes from Precious, who comes from South Africa. Welcome to the stream. Awesome to have you here. And Precious is applying to do a bachelor's in beauty and health. And the question is, hi, I'm Precious from South Africa. Thank you for this opportunity and for the help you're giving out. You're most welcome. Do you know any universities offering cosmetology, or if not, dermatology is something that I'm also looking into? My understanding is that you cannot actually study cosmetology, at least cosmetology, that I'm 100% sure, but also not dermatology either at a university level, so meaning master's level. I know that you're applying for a bachelor's, but there's a distinction here that you need to understand. So universities are academic institutions that actually teach bachelor's, master's, as well as PhD studies. And there are many different degrees that you cannot take at a university level, because many of these degrees, for example, dermatology and cosmetology, they prepare you for a very specific type of career. And I think there might be degrees taught in these fields in universities of applied sciences, which do bachelor's level degrees. However, I'm not sure. So what I would recommend you to do is basically what I'm doing right here. Just a super quick search. Finland bachelor's dermatology. So dermatology, it seems that yes, cosmetology. All right, so there's a difference here. So it seems that the University of Applied Sciences of Laurea, as well as Novia, they do have a bachelor's program in beauty and cosmetics. However, this is only in Finnish, so that's a problem. Let's see if we have anything in the Novia University of Applied Sciences. Beauty and cosmetics, beauty care. That's language. Education is in English. However, do know that there is no admission in 2022. So it seems that they have a break on the admissions for this upcoming year. However, if you then Google dermatology, it seems that this is actually a university level degree. The cosmetology that you can study at a University of Applied Sciences level. However, dermatology is it seems a okay, never mind. Can't find anything there. The University of Turku, Derma. Okay, it seems that they do not have currently a degree in dermatology either. So this is basically the system that you need to do. So just Google Finland degree, the level of degree, and the dermatology or cosmetology, and then you can find whether there's actually anything available. However, my understanding is that this actually might not even be a bachelor's level degree, but rather this is a vocational degree, which is one level lower than a bachelor's level degree. And that is not taught at universities or universities of applied sciences, but rather at vocational schools. So what I would recommend you to do is to Google Finland vocational school and then dermatology and see if there's anything available there. This is a bit of a different field that I've used to talk about, so that's why I had to look for them. And I would recommend you to do the same thing. Anyway, the next question comes from Juns, who comes from Indonesia, and Juns is coming to Finland for work, not for school. And the question is, I heard that some unis do not charge tuition fees for international students that already have a continuous residence permit. Do you know if that's true? Okay, actually, so I already answered this question. So yes, there are specific type of residence permits that allow you not to pay tuitions, but please go to the website of the Finnish Immigration Service to actually check them out, because they have a very specific list of these kind of residence permits and what it takes to actually get these permits. However, the general rule of thumb is that you have to already be living in Finland permanently. If you don't want to pay tuition fees, there's no way for you to get a residence permit to come to Finland from outside of Finland when you apply to. Okay, let's put it this way. There's no way for you to avoid paying tuition fees if you're only coming to Finland, unless you come from a European Union country or from a Nordic country. So there's no way of kind of going around the tuition fees unless you already live in Finland permanently. Good question. Eve Hodovan has a very good question here that I actually addressed a while ago. So the question is, in Finland, in the Finnish job market, is it a plus if someone speaks German? Yes, depending on the company, it actually might be, but because we do a lot of exports into Germany, and depending on the company, you might actually have a lot of benefits from this. But as a general rule of thumb, no. The majority of companies in Finland do not have any kind of benefits for you if you speak German. However, many kind of international companies that do mostly exports and deal with international customers, especially in Germany, yes, in those cases, yes. However, the question where to find these companies, that's a whole different question altogether. All right, let's see. Then we have a question from Isanka Udanjarante, who comes from Sri Lanka, and he is applying to the SEAMK University, doing his bachelor's in international business. And the question is, what about SEAMK, University of Applied Sciences, for bachelor's in international business? Is it good? I actually already answered this. Yes, it is very good. And then question 2, about jobs for spouses in Seinäjoki area. Cannot say anything about this, depends on your spouse, their educational background, their previous experience, their seniority, the field that they're working on, the kind of jobs that they're applying to, the kind of companies that they're applying to. There's a billion different things that you have to consider here. Absolutely no way for me to say anything about this before I know more about their case. Then the next question comes from Daniel from Nigeria, and Daniel is applying for a master's in accounting and business management at the Aalto University or University of Oulu. And the question is, what is the best time to apply for student apartments? The second that you are allowed to. So I've already mentioned this quite a couple of times already during this stream, and I talk about this in my videos all the time. The best time to apply for student apartments is the second that you are allowed to, based on the rules for each student apartment provider. So every single student apartment every single student apartment provider in Finland has different rules for when you are allowed to apply for their apartments. For example, just 2 examples here. For example, the Aalto University Student Union. So it's a student union for Aalto University students, and they have student apartments that are specifically only for Aalto University students. They have a rule that you can apply for their apartments the second that you get your admission letter. So basically, you can already apply like half a year before you even move to Finland. Basically, the second that you actually get the letter from them. from Aalto University. However, HOAS, which is the biggest student apartment provider in the Helsinki region, they have a rule that you can only apply at earliest 4 months before that you can before you actually need to move in. So you cannot apply half a year before, but 4 months before you need to move in. And based on these rules, the best time is to apply to Aalto University Student Union Apartments the second that you get the admission letter, and for HOAS, exactly 4 months before. It doesn't matter what the student apartment provider is. If you apply to student apartments, let's say a month before you need the apartment, it's highly likely that you will not be offered a student apartment before before the, for example, next semester, or even later at some cases. You need to apply as soon as you are allowed, based on the rules. Again, as a warning, just a while ago, there is some people saying that I didn't get a student apartment. I applied, a couple of weeks ago, and I'm coming to Finland next week. What can I do? Nothing. You need to apply for private market apartments. Stay in the queues for student apartments, but simply the only thing that you can do here is to basically just start applying for private market apartments, because if you apply a couple of weeks before you come to Finland, you will absolutely not be able to get a student apartment in time. So that's, just take into account. Onurkan Yildiz is actually asking a very good question in the chat. Do you have any idea why the LUT University application starts so early, 1st of November, and the results will be sent in a month and people have 14 days to accept? So if you apply on November 1st, I will be admitted, if I am, by December 15th. Yeah, that's a good question. It's because they are wanting to compete over the best applicants. LUT University has, it's actually a university that has been combined from multiple older universities and schools, and it's not that famous around the world just yet. And this is one way for them to compete for the best applicants who want to get the admission results really fast. And it's actually very smart from them, because for many other universities in Finland, the admission process takes maybe half a year or up to half a year. So this is a really cool thing for LUT to do. And the cool thing is that you can apply to LUT and get your results from there even before the application process or application period closes for other universities in Finland. So that's a very good option for if anyone wants to get the admission results early, or if LUT is something that they're interested in. A really good question. Hello, I'm from Nepal. Lots of love as well to you as well. Can I apply in Finland for hospitality management? What is the scope over there? This is a good question. It depends on the school that you're applying to. There are multiple schools offering program degrees in hospitality and tourism management. The only thing you need to do here is, as I always mention, whoops, sorry. Let's actually have the question here. So what you need to do here is to go to Google and Google Finland bachelor's or master's, if you're looking for a master's, tourism and hospitality management. There, Google. And then, for example, you can see Haaga-Helia, the first result here. Haaga-Helia University of Applied Sciences has a bachelor's degree in hospitality, tourism, and experience management. And the language of instructions is English, I would guess. Why isn't it showing here? It should be English. So there, I've actually referred to this before. That's why you can see that I've clicked the link before. And there are, for example, YAMK, University of Applied Sciences here, tourism and hospitality, bachelor's level degree. LUB, University of Applied Sciences, tourism and hospitality, bachelor's level degree. The University of Applied Sciences in Lapland, bachelor's in hospitality management and tourism. So yes, there are absolutely degrees in this field. You just have to start looking for them using Google. That would be my best way for you to start. However, of course, what I recommend you to do now is to rewind, 1 minute, go through all the links that I showed, and actually check out those pages, because those are schools that I would absolutely recommend, and start, researching the scope of those degrees, the curriculum, what kind of things that you actually study there, etc., etc. And this is the way for you to start. Hopefully that gave you some context to the topic. By the way, guys, before we end the stream, super quickly, I would really love if we could get 5 more likes to the stream. We're currently at 65 likes. It would be awesome to get to 70 likes. It's very close to our all-time record, which is, I think, 80. So that would be highly, highly appreciated if you could just gently tap the like button if you're getting any kind of value from the stream. Anyway, the next question from the forum comes from Carl Segebefia, who comes from Ghana, and Carl is applying to do his bachelor's in project management and videography. And the question is, I'm sitting for my Ielts academic exam in a week, and I will like to know if that is enough to apply for a bachelor degree in Finland. No, your Ielts language proficiency test is not enough for you to apply to study in Finland. Every single university and university program, or every single school in Finland, so universities as well as universities of applied sciences, have specific and have school-specific requirements to apply to those specific schools. So please check the specific school requirements from the university websites separately, because as mentioned, every school has separate requirements. There. So the IELTS is not enough on their own. There might be also other requirements as well. All right, awesome. At this point, I would like to actually thank everyone for the awesome questions. I'm actually running out of battery from my camera, so it's going to die in just a second. Thank you so much for actually getting us over the 70 likes. That is highly, highly appreciated. Again, thank you so much for everyone for the awesome questions. Thank you for hanging out for almost 3 hours. And there are still 10, 15 questions in the form, so I do apologize if I wasn't able to get to your questions this week. However, tune in next week on Thursday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern European Summer Time. I will start next week's live stream with your questions that were left in the Google form. Anyway, thank you again for hanging out, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.